Welcome back, everyone. We have our second set of the day. We're going to have Yo versus Hearttt. Now, both of these players coming off a loss in game number 1. I'm Dave. This is T-West. We're going to be taking you through the whole set, and this should be a good one. I mean, it's a really tough position to be in, right? You don't want to go down 0-2, especially in a group stage format like this. Yo is definitely the favorite coming in, but I did some research behind the scenes, and they've only played two sets against each other in which they're 1-1.
It's strange to see two players who are this prolific in the scene have played together so few times in tournaments.
Yeah, and the win-loss is like 6-5 in favor of Yo. So there's not a lot there, at least in big events, right? They match up a lot on the ladder. They do a lot of stuff on the smaller events. But in terms of big time, which this certainly is in a LAN environment, they don't really have a history. So I can't really remember the last time I watched the two of them play in a huge event. So this should be really, really interesting. And stylistically, they're definitely very different players.
And the two of them yesterday, they faced really good opponents, Hearttt against Leary and Yo against Vinchester. And Vinchester seems to be playing out of his world these days. He was the first player here practicing this morning. So Yo, no shame in losing there.
No, and especially the way he lost. Like, I feel like he got away almost with 2 wins, not playing his best against Vinchester, and Vinchester could have swept him easily. So that's got to be at least a little bit of a relief for Yo. Also, if Vinchester's playing well, you think about the Buchholz system, the guy you lose to, you actually want them to do well in the group stage. And I think Yo's got a solid shot with that. Same could be said with Hearttt, though. Hearttt lost against Leary. It was 3-1. I think he had some moments there, but he should have, lost to a player that will get good results going forward. Now, if we look at the map and Civ draft here, it is a very interesting one. Remember, you draft the first 2 civilizations first, and you ban 4 civs. Then you do the maps. Then you come back. The random bans happen. Then you have to make some more picks.
You have several browser tabs
then you
open
have
at the same time.
Yes,
and you're alt-tabbing on the monitor.
It's incredibly involved. So what do you think about the maps here? What do you think about the civs?
Well, I mean, the first 2 picks, Mongols and Chinese. I think Chinese are very commonly going to be that first pick. Mongols there, a bit more surprising.
Yeah, Mongols, I mean, they're still solid, right? The big thing with Mongols is that every map has hunt. So you're going to get that timing advantage. Even if it's a water map, you're going to get the fire galleys out faster. If it's a land map, you're going to get the scouts out faster. And there's a lot of potential for stuff like high tides here. Maybe you even want to play them on Tiergarten. I mean, it's not a standard pick, but it's still possible, right?
Yeah, that fast uptiming makes them so versatile on the water maps and the open land maps, and still even on the closed maps. The late game with Mengadai and Siege is just so strong.
African reed beds, I'm also looking at that. If you want to disrupt their fishing really early, maybe you just skip the fish altogether like we saw Yo do yesterday a little bit. I mean, there is potential here for Mongols. It's just a solid pick overall. Other civs that might be surprising to you here. Looks kind of standard, doesn't it?
Incas, maybe. I wonder if Yo saw ACCM go for that tower strat on Tiergarten.
Oh, Tiergarten, that's right.
And maybe he wants to replicate that.
Also, we saw them used on High Tide by Tato.
Right, we did. I wonder if High Tide is an option for the American civs.
I mean,
even Mayans or Aztecs.
It could be. I mean, Mayans can do relatively the same build as the Incas there. I think their follow-up is going to be a little bit weaker. But they get the extra villager at the beginning, which helps, kind of balances out the extra pop space from the Inca houses to get yourself faster onto the water. I mean, there is potential for sure. Where do you think Huns is going to slot in?
Huns there for Hearttt. That's interesting. You would think maybe Bedouins is usually the Huns map, but not picked in this draft.
It's also the China map. Like if you look at it, right? Like if you draft the Civ first and then you have 2 picks, I'm really surprised that he didn't go for Bedouins.
And so Huns are pretty flexible, but they tend to be better civs than what the Huns can do. You can use them on the water maps, but maybe not your top pick. I think maybe Tiergarten might be where we see the Huns. Yeah,
and maybe the random bans down there is influencing that a little bit. We see a lot of good civs banned out there, right? Like that's the random element here with maybe a civ that does stuff like the Huns, like Khmer, playing the fast scouts or fast cavalry, getting banned out will dictate what sort of mobile civs you're going to pick later on. Now, Copenhagen is also a map that Hearttt has selected here. Yo has Burgundians. And he loves Burgundians, and that plays right into his strengths on a map like Copenhagen. Meanwhile, Hearttt has something like maybe Chinese there. Maybe he believes in it. Bengalis could be a potential. You could even see him. I don't think it's going to happen, but Copenhagen's a late game map. Maybe like Magyars if you really believe in the comp.
Maybe even Saracens if you think you're going to have
Good.
Moblux to deal with.
Yep, and you're playing Galley War as well at the
Exactly,
top.
and they have the faster fire and galleys.
Yep.
And remember, most importantly, they have the market. It's a great map where you're doing that fast castle build. You can use the market creatively.
I was watching some players do some insane builds because you start with the extra res. It's regicide resources, right? So I was watching some players in there, like, not even queue up a village, just queue up feudal age right away. Like maybe one villager, then feudal age, and then it's like all in on the wood to get the galleys out really quick on that map. It's really, really cool to see what you can do, especially starting with the barracks. So you only need the additional Dark Age building.
Now, maybe, I don't think the players would do this, but the Saracens do have extra carry capacity on their transports. If they wanted to transport to the back and go for a king snipe.
Travis, you know that. I know that. There's
no way
like,
the players
they
know that.
knew it at one point. Yeah.
They probably haven't.
They don't remember little numbers like that. That's for sure. Like every time I see someone with a Sicilian transport ship, they're like, I can see everything with this thing. Oh my God. Yeah, it's only been around for 3 years.
Well, to be fair, they changed that bonus about 3 or 4 times before they settled on it.
They did, yeah.
At least we don't see players still using them as rams anymore on the water.
Yeah, exactly. That was a little bit ridiculous. So Yo and Hearttt just getting ready here. We should be starting soon. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Welcome all the other channels that rated the Gamerlegion channel. Make sure to drop a follow. We're going to be here for the next week or so.
Next week, we have the finals on Sunday.
Finals on Sunday. Watch party starts on Saturday, I believe.
Watch party Saturday and Sunday?
I'm not certain if we still have tickets available for that. Maybe the mods in the channel can link that if it's possible, if you have nothing to do before Christmas.
I'm pretty sure we all still have discount codes for it, too.
Ooh. Okay, you could save some money. So, Tiergarten, first map. You think Incas could be potential for Mr. Yo? He could be going for the same sort of strategy as ACCM.
It's an option for him. I mean, he also has a lot of cav civs there that he could use. Lithuanians, Mongols, I mean, even Burgundians he could pick there.
Yep. And the mobility was a big pain point for ACCM there. Like, when he played up against Hera, if you recall, if you didn't watch the game, this is what happened. On Tiergarten, he chopped through really quickly, went for the tower to deny entry to Hera, to that center area, and then Hera just ignored it. He left, and then he went Step Lancer, and he absolutely killed ACCM with that mobility. Now, there's still potential here for a counter to the Inca play if Yo decides to go for that, but we're getting into our match. Game number 1, Mr. Yo up against Hearttt, and we see Yo, and he's going to be playing as the Incas and Hearttt has gone for the Mayans, so we have a full American Civ matchup.
Now, my worry here for Hearttt is if Yo does go for that Inca strategy, Mayans chop through the wood even more slowly.
Yeah, you're not racing him through the wood. Longer lasting resources for the mines is going to be really brutal, and if Yo wants to capitalize on that, he can maybe start shift clicking the villagers through and making sure that there's 2 or 3 vills on every single tree.
And you know, you can use the shift click to make sure that as soon as they get through, they actually start walking forward.
Exactly. It's a really, really good quality of life adjustment that came in with the E, and people can use it to chop through the wood line so you don't have to babysit every single villager. But we see Hearttt here, not really focusing on chopping through just yet. He's got a couple villagers working on that, bringing his eagle over. On Tiergarten, most of the gold is in that center area behind 2 layers of wood. A lot of the wood is in that center area as well, so it's a really important focus. And then on the sides, we have berries, we have some hunt, and each player starts with an outpost. So if you get Town Watch, which Yo loves to do in Feudal Age, you can get some really good vision on whether your opponent is kind of expanding out there or whether they're going for some raids along the side.
Yeah, and there is also a bit of hunt out there, and I wonder if, with that Mongols pick, we'd ever see the Mongols player going out there to take that hunt early on.
It could be an option, right? Or, I mean, I think a civ like Georgians could be really good here. You just roll a mule cart out there, take the hunt, and then roll it back to the middle to take the wood or maybe some of that extra gold. But Mr. Yo only has... he's chopping the diagonal tree. So he's got 2 trees left to go. 72 wood plus 100. So 170 wood remaining until he's through, and it looks like he's prioritizing that. Not much further behind is Hearttt. Hearttt actually might be ahead, even with the Mayans chopping through that wood line.
He's chopping the right 2 trees in order to get in.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to position it correctly. You don't want to go diagonal through the wood, otherwise you're doing double the work for the same amount of progress. Barracks now already coming up from both. If you chop through, the problem with the Mesosibs is that they don't have access to scouts, so it's just going to be Eagles coming in there, which are not very strong in the Feudal Age and take a long time to produce. And if you send archers through, odds are your opponent's already going to have a tower to lock things down. So I can't see a lot of damage coming in that area super, super quickly. And Yo obviously isn't going to get that insane forward tower time the ACCM got yesterday against Hera.
Yeah, and we're probably just going to see what we see pretty much every game. As soon as you chop through, you're building that tower on the second wood line to keep your next lumber camp safe.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of wood there. So it's not just about keeping the villagers safe there. It's about, you know, keeping them safe long term on these wood lines. And the other wood lines to take on the edges of the map are going to be clumps of 8 trees, 9 trees, something like that. So long term, you definitely want to lock that down. It's worth spending the stone on, even though the other stones, if you're going to go out to them, are quite a distance away from your base.
Yep, and as we add in the archery ranges, you're so far apart, you're really not going to do much damage in the Feudal Age. When you get to the Castle Age, both of these civs have different ways of dealing with eagles. Incas can go for slingers, Mayans can go for plumed archers.
Yeah, Incas are really brutal in the civ matchup against Mayans and Aztecs. Because it kind of negates you pushing with eagles. It kind of forces you into crossbows, and then the Incas can go skirms, which are cheaper for them, or they can go eagles themselves. And then you're just running around with crossbows trying to counter those eagles. So the slinger just adds another dimension to this civ matchup, and I think if Yo's looking at this, he's going to be fairly happy as we see the double. We see the double POV on the wood choppers. I think. Who do you think is getting in first? I think Yo is getting in first.
I think I mean he has 3 vills on that tree, and he is Incas.
I think it's Yo. I think it's Yo.
There he goes.
Yeah.
Does he have the vill shift queued though? No, he doesn't.
No, I mean
Hearttt might take the first step inside still.
Yeah, it's just an eagle war on the other side. Got to be careful not to fall behind in that in Feudal Age. You don't have slingers in Feudal, but at the end of the day, eagles take like 5 business days to produce in Feudal Age, so it's going to be really, really tough to get those numbers up. And they can't even really take fights against villagers until they get the full upgrades, right? They need the armor, they need forging, and then it's suddenly difficult for the villagers to fight them off. It kind of appears like we're just going to have enough units to keep each other safe, and they'll try and focus on getting to Castle Age as quickly as
and we even have the defensive skirms coming out from Yo. Now, Yo has done some insane things with skirms in the past. I've seen him win feudal skirms against Castle Eagles, but this shouldn't be too much of a fight as they try to get up to the next stage.
No, the Eagles are, I mean, they're close to Yo's base, so Yo should have the production advantage. You can see him saving those Eagles, and he's going to go garrison those in the TC. So those Eagles are going to be healing up slowly over time, and that's good value from Mr. Yo. Not something we normally see from him. Usually he won't bother with that type of thing.
Well, low HP Eagles, eventually over time they heal, as you say, and when you get to the Castle Age, that's when the Eagles get their attack bonus, and that's when you really want the Eagles to matter.
Lots of army here from Hearttt. Tons of army coming forward versus what we see from Mr. Yo. Mr. Yo just has a ton of weak Eagles. I think Hearttt was actually faster with that range, but now he's running up into the problem that the production buildings are closer for Mr. Yo. So Mr. Yo, even with less army, can just defend himself. He doesn't feel the need to pressure, and here comes the armor for the Eagles. Ecos for both players still not anywhere near the point where they can click up to Castle Age, even with the use of the market. And I don't think selling stone on this map is a good idea. I think you always got to keep your stone for a tower. Always got to keep it for expansion, because it's really rare you're going to finish this on 1 TC.
But now that you mention that, it is kind of weird to see both players still with 200 stone. Neither
well,
player went for
there's
that
no
tower
pressure.
in the middle.
They're tracking each other well, right? They had Eagles forward. Hearttt had an Eagle forward. He could see Yo wasn't coming to him, and he was forcing Yo's Eagles back. So there's no pressure at all. They don't need the tower. They can try and save that for as long as possible.
And I wonder if that extra stone means you have more options for doing that castle in the middle of the map that we've seen a few times.
Yeah, I mean, it is true, right? The castle can lock down everything. In the case of Dogao earlier, it kind of screwed him over a little bit. He invested so much into that, and it didn't get him anything. So maybe there's a lesson to be learned there. Forging on the way for Hearttt. So Hearttt forgoes the infantry armor because he's mostly up against skirms. in terms of the range units, and he goes for Forging instead. Now, Yo already has that armor. Forging is not in, but Yo can't take that fight. Heartt's doing a really good job just staying forward. Yo can't go anywhere.
Yeah, I love how Heartt has just been so far away from his production buildings, and yet it feels like he's still on equal numbers with Yo.
Yeah, it's really, really solid from Heartt, and the KD somehow, even though they've done so much damage, the KD is still only 2-1.
Now, I'm kind of... I don't like the way Yo has built those farms. Like, he double layered at the front of the TC where that army is. He could have put them on the backside.
Are you like a farm mathematician?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that it bothers you a lot?
Like if T90 were casting this, he wouldn't notice that.
I find that they're just connecting. The mill bothers me a little bit.
Well, the mill was on the
away.
berries. The mill was on the berries. You can't do anything about that.
That is true. That is true. All right, Yo still defends. Nothing much happening here. Wheelbarrow on the way for Heartt. Resources looking good. Resources looking a lot better than Yo's. He's kind of cut back on the Eagle production a little bit. Mr. Yo still dropping food and gold into that. And Wheelbarrow is going to kick in and really, really help those villagers on the farms. Look at Heartt's eco. 400 plus resources collected ahead.
And that's what you get when you're the mines, because you don't need to do that farm transition as early since you have all that hunt.
Yeah, and you get the extra villager at the beginning. It makes a little bit less of a difference on 9-ville starts than it does on a standard 3-ville start, but it's really, really nice for them.
And honestly, I really like it on the 9-ville start because you're not housed at the start.
Exactly.
As long as you have your
you don't have to get
point,
loom.
you don't have to do loom.
Exactly. So there's not a lot of idle time early in terms of villager production. Wheelbarrow on the way for Mr. Yo. I think before Wheelbarrow is complete, though, Heartt might click up to the Castle Age if he really prioritizes it. You can see he's kind of nervous about that. He doesn't want to fall behind in military against Incas. He wants to keep his advantage, so he keeps queuing up units, which keeps him further away from the Castle Age. And Mr. Yo has done a wonderful job of defending and keeping his weak units alive until that Eagle died, of course. KD is still only 5-3.
And importantly, 0-0 on the Eco KD, so even though Heartt has been forward, he has not managed to pick off a Vill yet.
Really, really nice job from both. They're both playing pretty secure here. Heartt is being very, very patient. He could have pushed in before, and he didn't. Mr. Yo has been defending patiently. Now Wheelbarrow is in for Mr. Yo. Heartt's about to click up. But it kind of comes back to the Civ matchup. Like, I think Yo is fine if they're all even when it gets to Castle Age, because he has access to the slingers, right? And now Yo is pushing in with these skirms, and he's going to snipe a lot of these archers, and that's going to make the crossbow transition a little bit tough for Heartt. And if you can't go crossbows with mines against Incas, what are you doing?
I would say maybe there's a way to get to her castle and to plumed archers, but Heartt spent the stone on the castle, and that's not going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, that's a long way away. Like, Heartt spent his stone, as you said. I think there's a tower in the middle probably because he was nervous about that. And now Heartt is just retreating. There's the tower right there in between the two lumber camps. Eagles on the way back. Remember, still no armor on those Eagles. Mr. Yo, no forging. But Heartt is a little bit faster to Castle Age. I don't think it's fast enough to make a difference. And suddenly we have a role reversal here where Heartt is in the position that Mr. Yo was in earlier.
And Heartt, still some vills on that lumber camp on the outside that aren't going to be protected by that tower.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stragglers there. Mr. Yo doesn't have any protection at all. He knows where the army is from Heartt.
Yeah, he doesn't need that protection.
Well, he doesn't need it until Castle Age, when the Eagles get really, really strong, right? They get a big boost. Maybe Heartt could sneak like 2 or 3 around and start sniping the villagers, especially if you're losing army forward.
I think he's just more concerned about cleaning this, though. He wants to get that timing where he gets up to the Castle Age, gets that +3 attack,
yeah,
and maybe clear the skirms.
That's a really risky push forward there from Mr. Yo. He's clearly trying to clear the archers so that the crossbow tech can't have as much of an impact. And he comes forward with those skirms. And look, one archer body. There's like 8 skirmisher bodies. And he definitely didn't get the value he needed, but I think we know what the plan is going to be from Mr. Yo. 4 barracks Eagles. Can they afford this?
We'll see if he sells the stone to afford those Eagles. Usually you do that even if you're on 3 barracks, but for 4 barracks you might have to.
I mean, if you want to afford the Eagles, they are cheaper with the Incas, right? You could maybe
have a food discount though, right? Not a gold discount?
I mean, look, he's selling his food. He's selling his wood. They have a food discount indeed. They don't have a discount on gold. But if you drop a TC on the gold and start tossing more villagers on there and have like 20, that's a good use of your stone, I think. He actually uses some of it to go for a gate here.
He wants to be walled in the middle to make sure that Heartt can't loop around from the back.
Yeah, and Hearttt is back. We've only looked at 2 spots on this map so far this game. We've looked at this spot at the front of Mr. Yo's base, and we've looked at the other spot at the front of Heartt's base. As Hearttt now goes for the full walls, I think he's nervous about the 4 barracks that he saw. He doesn't want to get counter-raided by Mr. Yo, so maybe walling up right now is a really good timing while Yo is busy.
Yeah, and the armor just now going to come in on those eagles, so they'll be able to take a better fight against the crossbows now, and Yo's going to try to engage and push them back.
Even
but
deletes
nice
the
micro.
House. Yeah,
nice
even
micro there
deletes
from
the
Hearttt.
house so he can get through there. Heartt's step back micro is beautiful, as you said. And Mr. Yo, he was so good at saving the weak units before, and now it just kind of looks like he's bumbling after this army, hoping for the best, and he's not going to get it. This is what I was talking about, and this is why Hearttt wanted to wall, but he's been busy. He didn't finish it.
2 eagles are in, and he needs to notice that. He spent so much time microing those crossbows. We finally have an eco KD, and it's 2-0 in favor of Yo because of those
He's
eagles.
still killing? Okay, Hearttt noticed.
Finally garrisoned. And just look at all those vills running, though. So much idle time from only 2 eagles.
A lot of idle time there, and Mr. Yo still producing from at least 3 barracks right now. He's still got excess food somehow. He's still got excess gold. The Incas are absolutely insane. Hearttt is still microing his heart out over here, but Mr. Yo should be scaling a little bit ahead on economy pretty soon as he's disrupting the entire eco from Hearttt at home.
With only 2 eagles to do it, too.
Yeah, that's really, really high value for those units. And Mr. Yo, I mean, this is just classic Yo, right? He knows he's in a good position. He knows that Hearttt is going to have to focus all of his attention on these units to micro them down. He's just going to chase. He's just going to chase. He trusts his units to do the best job. In the meantime, he was raiding, and I think he's even made his way to the middle. He might be towering the wood line from Yo over there.
Oh,
he is. That's where he's spending his stone. He didn't sell the stone. He didn't go for a tower defensively. And he's going to try and deny Hearttt from chopping through to the middle area.
And that tower's going to go up. I don't think Hearttt even sees that tower yet.
Oh, he sees it.
He sees it, but he can't do anything about it.
Can't do anything. He goes for another tower. So Hearttt was on stone, maybe thinking about the castle like you talked about earlier. But it's going to have to invest the stone into a tower just to push this back. And now Mr. Yo has options, right? He can go through that area with the eagles. He can raid on the sides maybe. Or he can maybe think about a siege workshop in the middle to start pushing air.
And what makes this tricky is if you want to get to the middle, you can't really do a building on that rock terrain on the outside. You can't put your workshop there, or you couldn't even do a castle there to deny the towers. You have to get into the middle if you want to actually place something.
What are these vills doing from Hearttt? That kind of looks like a TC waypoint issue.
Well, we saw that from ACCM in the other game too. I think he probably just has something set to the middle, but then the middle's walled and they can't find their way in there.
True, yeah. Or he accidentally clicks it because he's clicking so fast up to the north. I know Viper's had problems with that in the past. 27 crossbows, 25 eagles for Mr. Yo, but he's found his way into the woodline. You can only track the eagle raids for so long, especially when you're paying attention to the crossbows. This is the advantage for the eagle player. If you're fighting in a choke point, if you're fighting in one spot, the crossbows should have the advantage, but if you're fighting in multiple areas, the mobility of the eagles is insane, as Hearttt actually managed to get some crossbows in the middle, and that's a good wall for Mr. Yo, but still, while the crossbows are over there, the eagles can feast.
All those eagles now, look at that eco KD, 11-1 from Yo, just getting the eagles into the heart of Heartt's economy, disrupting all of those villagers, and there's no way for Hearttt to clean this up. He can't just make 1 or 2 crossbows and kill the eagles. He needs to commit to 5 or 6 crossbows.
He's got 35 crossbows. When's the last time we saw most of them, though? There's a group over here. There's a group at home. And Hearttt has to have superhuman attention to detail and multitasking to make this work. And now the Eagles are sandwiching him from the other side. He's going to try and retreat where he can. He's going to try and bring reinforcements. But Mr. Yo is forcing him into a corner, and he's going to clear that up. The other engagement for Mr. Yo might not be the smartest one, though, under the tower.
Under the tower, and honestly, enough crossbows there that he can push the Eagles back. That wasn't as bad for Hearttt as it initially looked there.
Still down to 24 crossbows against 22 eagles with +2 armor. And those eagles are waiting to raid. And there's another TC coming up here from Mr. Yo, which should be complete. The eagles can hold him off. Looks like he's on stone, so interested in maybe an additional town center once that one is up. But
you have a castle in the middle from Hearttt. Hearttt was collecting stone, and that's going to give him access to the plumed archers now. The unit he wants as the mines that has the attack bonus against the infantry that actually can deal with the eagles.
It's a good thing they're cheap because they've got 5 on wood right now. So the wood eco is not looking great for Hearttt. The food eco no longer looking superb for him either, and he's 10 villagers behind. But he will have plumed archers running around the map. That's a good TC spot from Yo. It kind of forces the Siege Workshop out from Hearttt if he wants to pressure that area. And once again, just
Eagles just everywhere.
Amazing rates from Mr. Yo. Eco KD 12-1.
And these are raids despite all the effort Hearttt put into walling. We can see that on the minimap. He's full walled his base and yet still is getting picked apart by those Eagles.
Very, very good use of the mobility here from Mr. Yo. What is he doing with his resources there, T-West? Like, is he thinking Imperial Age could be a potential...
He's close to it.
Play? I mean, you don't really go Imp without a castle. You can see he's still got 3 vills on stone. But what is Imperial Age gonna give you, and are you gonna have the eco to get it? Like, I understand Elite Eagle, I understand armor, but right now he's only at 63 vills.
Oh, that's 10 more than Hearttt has, and Hearttt is still open down there. I think he can just go Imp, and he doesn't need the castle yet. He can do it on his way up and then get Trebs.
Yep. So the Eagles are in at the backside. Another Eagle raiding party just waiting to come in. Hearttt is just responding. He's constantly reacting to whatever Yo is doing here. This matchup is really, really tough for the Mayans, especially on an open map like this. Plumed archers are going to start to come out. He might have enough stone for a castle, but there's nowhere he can really put this castle that will make a massive impact in this game, because he's constantly going to be just chasing these Eagles with the crossbows. Finally, ballistics. That's going to be a massive upgrade for all of these crossbows.
He'll finally be able to hit the Eagles as they run away. Now, we saw in that last game, you just get your crossbows with ballistics on the wood line. All of a sudden, the villagers start dying.
Yeah.
Here, the Eagles can just run away, no problem, not even take a single hit when ballistics isn't in.
Another Eagle raiding party, I think, coming in on the right side. It's going to hit that TC again because he knows the crossbows are in the middle of the base. So here come the Eagles once again. And every time that Hearttt tries to like push forward with the crossbows, he's getting distracted. He has to bring them back again.
Yeah, and it all started, as you said, Yo didn't do the tower. He's been tracking that army the entire time.
Exactly.
Sending his Eagles everywhere he knows the crossbows are not.
He's done a fantastic job of that. His army tracking this game has been beautiful, and he's kind of been forcing Hearttt into really bad positions with his army. As the plumes come around, I don't think there's potential to snipe this. Remember, the Inca Vills also had that +2 armor as well, so it makes it even more difficult to kill for the plumed archers, which don't have high attack. And again, there's not enough room in the TC for all the wounded villagers.
And the Eagles have 5 pierce armor. They don't really care about that TC arrow fire. They're going to limit that TC to the only 15 vills that are inside of it.
Nice raids here from Mr. Yo. Villager count now 70 to 56. This kind of feels like a situation with Hearttt just loading up on wood and stone, no food, no gold. It feels like a resigned situation. Like, what are you going to do against even the final armor upgrade, let alone Elite Eagle, let alone Trebs? Like,
and
what is your solution?
Especially since he's been going crossbow into plumes, he doesn't have like a bunch of Eagles to jump the Trebs.
Exactly. And he doesn't have Siege either. Doesn't have a Siege Workshop, doesn't have Rams, nothing along those lines. He doesn't have access to Trebs, and it's the final desperation raid here. I think there was a lot of vills on the gold and stone at the back of Yo's base that he could potentially hit, but I mean, even if he kills all of those, even if he kills 20 villagers right now, which he's definitely not going to do with the Eagles sitting right there waiting for the crossbows to come in.
Elite Eagle immediately queued, and Yo just needs the armor, and all of a sudden those crossbows will be useless since they'll only be doing 1 damage to the Imperial Age Eagles.
Oh, he's waiting. He could take that fight with Castle Age Eagles, but he's waiting for Elite Eagle. He wants to completely clear this up. He really doesn't have an Imperial Age economy at the moment. Like 72 vills is not insane.
I mean, Eagles, they don't need an economy.
As we've seen this game, the crossbow's now backing up. Final armor upgrade on the way. There's Elite Eagle, and Hearttt, I think, knows that he will need to try again next game, and it's not going to happen here. There go all of his crossbows. He's got a plume army to back it up, but Imperial Age is a pipe dream at the moment for him. And Heartt's just doing what he does, I suppose. He's just going to try and micro it down as best as he can.
At this point, what does that micro even give you? A few more shots on the Eagles.
A couple more shots and the Eagles come in. It's not going to work.
We have a Treb war now going on in the middle. Yo should be able to clean up that castle without much of an issue, and now still up by about 10 vills. Eagles everywhere. I mean, how do you deal with the Eagles if you're the Mines? You need to get the plumed archers, but it's just so much slower to get them going.
Well, you gotta have pressure forward, and we saw Hearttt do it in late Feudal Age, right? We saw him constantly be at the front of Yo's base, and Yo didn't give in. If Yo messes up once there and he loses like 2 skirms, suddenly Hearttt is sitting at the front of his base. Maybe he's on his gold. Maybe Yo doesn't go up as fast. Instead, Yo went mega production with the Eagles, with the skirms. He pushed them all the way back. And once you get to Castle Age, there's only one option. It's crossbows for Mayans. You can't go Eagles because he goes slingers.
And you can't go Eagles because the Eagles are cheaper for the Incas anyway.
Exactly. It's just a really good Civ matchup. I think Hearttt probably didn't like his chances going into that game, seeing that one, and Yo played that really, really well. So we're going to go into game 2 here shortly. Hearttt is looking for a good map for him. Where do you go after that? Do you go to like a Copenhagen? Do you go to a really slow map? Or are you trying to speed things up?
I feel like Copenhagen against Yo just isn't a good option. I mean,
you do remember when Yo ran his king into the castle, maybe?
I don't think he's going to do that again.
Dude, he's so scared with his king. It just like garrisons it right away. He doesn't move at all.
Maybe that's true. Maybe you just need to start the game and then just start Xing where you think his king is to scare him.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Some suggestions for Hearttt against Yo. In the meantime, though, we have a message from our partners for you.
And now, a word from our partners. Back then, a pocket watch told you the time, if it wasn't broken, that is. Today, the Hammer smartwatches do so much more. From monitoring your health to managing your schedule, and even keeping you on time for the next Age of Empires final, everything is just a glance away. And they do it in magnificent style. Make more of your time. Hammer.
Okay, so we have game 2 coming up. It's going to be Heartt's pick. He could go with one of his home maps. He could go with one of Mr. Yo's home maps. We were talking about Copenhagen a little bit. You don't think it's a good option against Yo, especially with Burgundians?
Especially not with Burgundians.
Okay.
Yo is very comfortable there. And let's see what they still have. I mean, it's kind of a strange home map pick anyway from Hearttt against Yo to begin with.
He must have a plan. Like, he must have a plan. Remember, he has plenty of other players to confer with in the room there, and all of them basically have a good grasp over what Mr. Yo prefers. So I'm assuming that Heartt's got a plan there. He's got a Civ that he really believes in, or maybe he just thinks Mr. Yo is going to overrate himself with something like Burgundians.
Do you think he has a plan to counter Burgundians and he's just assuming Yo's going to take Burgundians?
I think, yeah, that's the assumption that you need to make. Now, it might not even be Copenhagen. Yeah, it is Copenhagen. It is Copenhagen. And Mr. Yo has left his base with the king. Oh, no. He's already forgotten the lessons he learned last year.
Well, at least he's not scouting towards his opponent's castle. He's scouting the corner of the base.
And he's found his opponent's king. Okay, getting a
micro.
couple hits. It's a minute and 50 seconds away from Feudal Age. A really quick Feudal Age here for Mr. Yo. And now the scout is coming over from Hearttt, so Yo doesn't go after the king anymore. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, honestly, it really isn't worth it to get those hits on the king. You're not going to kill it in the Dark Age. You're just kind of wasting your scouting time.
Okay, so good setup there from Mr. Yo. He only sent one villager forward to fish at the dock, but he is up to Feudal Age really quickly. I think this is like Feudal Age, maybe 1 or 2 fire galleys in the north, and then you try and come and dock down south on that pond. Yo is playing... He's playing Koreans here instead of Burgundians.
Koreans?
So no Burgundians.
Well, great late game Civ. And hard to push early game because of the towers, too.
And
so,
really hard to push with Chinese.
Especially with Chinese. Chinese usually have that weakness against bombard cannons or heavy siege, and that's what the Koreans specialize in.
Yeah, this is a very, very nice build from Mr. Yo. I was talking to you about the fast builds I was watching on Copenhagen. This isn't even the fastest feudal. Like, this is a really quick one. But I saw one that I think that was like a villager or 2 faster than this.
He's up on 14 vills, and you can definitely go up faster.
Okay, Doc is coming up here from Hearttt, and Yo spots that right away. Great scouting. He's got the Feudal Age scout now, so Hearttt has to be careful. He's trying to cheese it. He was trying to go diagonal against that villager, and now trying to get through the weak wall is not going to be able to do that. Good attention to detail there from Hearttt. And it's 2 galleys in the north from Mr. Yo. So I'm curious whether Hearttt even wants to contest the north side. I think we'll know whether he builds a second dock there or not. I think the answer is probably no.
Yeah, because Yo does have double docks there, and we do have 2 galleys queued up from him. So it looks like he's just going to try to snipe off the fish and probably just assume that seeing the dock in the south, that Hearttt isn't going to fight over that water.
Yeah, and I mean, he might go double galley, 1 fire to help against the dock up north, and then only fires down south.
And it makes more sense to go fires down south because of how small the water is there.
Exactly. So here comes the villager, guarding it with a scout as well. We saw, some problems with wolves before, and also he knows that Hearttt is around here with his own scout. I don't think either player has loom yet, so you got to be really, really careful with those. Singular fire galley, I believe, in the north from Hearttt, but with the 2 galleys and the fire galley follow-up from Mr. Yo, he's going to be able to clear those fish as loom now comes in for that forward villager.
Does Hearttt have loom on that dock villager there?
Mr. Yo, can you wall that in? Now, the answer
not.
is no.
He does not have loom. And down it goes.
She dies. She got some good fish in there for Hearttt, but obviously not having loom and losing track of that. That's a pretty common villager to lose on this map really early.
Yeah, and down goes the fishing ship 2. Yo's going to have the dock in the south, and Hearttt just now going to spot it.
Look, even a spearman there from Mr. Yo. I remember watching a lot of games in the previous NAC on this map, and the build became make a couple spearmen from the barracks you get initially, and then go and snipe the hunt from your opponent, because there's a lot of deer. There's like 8 deer or something sitting out there, and Hearttt and Yo essentially have the same idea here, both creating spearmen. Hearttt going for 2 instead of the 1 from Mr. Yo.
Ooh, double dock there from Hearttt, so he's going to try to contest this water with fire galleys.
I like that we have that guy just fishing, like, constantly. Like, he's doing good. He's catching. He's still
the life down there just fishing.
He's still going. So Mr. Yo trying to go after the hunt. Unfortunately, I believe he runs into a wolf near the deer from Hearttt, but he's still fighting in the north. Hearttt trying to keep his fish alive. Hearttt just trying to keep something alive up here. And 2 villagers coming forward, so Hearttt will manage to keep this fire alive, I believe, for a little bit longer, unless he still doesn't have loom.
Well, he can snipe the vills with the galleys.
Oh! I thought 2 villagers would be enough.
Galley.
I thought 2 villagers would be enough. Apparently not. Apparently not. 3 fishing ships now killed by Mr. Yo. Actually, no. 2 fishing ships and the 1 villager.
And a villager. And now the 3rd fishing ship. Everything in the north cleaned up.
Nice job.
And we still have that villager fishing there. Ooh, finally.
Oh, he pops out just on time. The savior fire galley, right as that villager was about to be sniped. This guy pops out in front to tank the damage. Still, there's a balance here for Mr. Yo. Like, do you repair the wall? Not yet. Yeah. But at some point you will need to, and then you'll need to stop repairing the fire galley. And you got to wait for the other fire galley to come out, and you don't get demos as Koreans.
All right, and we have a double view of this in our picture cam as the Vill tries to run away.
He's on the run.
The quick walls.
Quick walls from Mr. Yo. Okay, and now he's getting poked through the wall. This man lives an unfortunate existence.
This guy's having one adventure of a day down there.
I know, and it's kind of like a movie because we've been watching it on the left the entire time. Very, very interesting here as the villager manages to save itself. What are the resources looking like? Heartt's about to click up.
Yeah, Yo's about to click up too. They're both doing pretty well.
Look at the eco advantage though for Hearttt. Even after he lost
1,000 resources.
This is just Chinese on this map, right? And this is where you take your advantage with Chinese. You're going to lose it later on against the tech tree of the Koreans, but early on, Hearttt has shifted his fish down south. He got the 3 extra villagers early. He stayed longer in Dark Age, which helps. And Hearttt is just in a wonderful position economically. We just have to wonder how this is going to look at the later stages of the game.
Yeah, and we see a horse collar now coming from Hearttt as both players click up at just about the same time. And the question for the Koreans is going to be, how do they actually transition this into something that works long term? And how can they hold on against that economy until they can get to their late game tech tree?
There we go. There we go. Now we don't have the movie of this guy's life. We can just wait for him to die, essentially, because he's kind of stuck right there as the fires now take out the dock. Castle Age on the way for both players. Mr. Yo can expand his fishing eco up north.
He's getting poked diagonally.
He's still surviving.
Without his death. Oh, finally got a diagonal poke in. He thought he was safe behind those palisades, but you're never safe against those diagonals.
Never safe. I love the fact that Yo is taking out the corner wall as well into hard space. We saw that in the Doubt series. He took out the one corner wall, like, on the water, and he managed to rush in there with the champions later. So it takes a long time to take it down. We can see Yo expanding his docks now in the north as well, so he's going to expand his fishing eco there. Takes a long time to take that down, but it can be really useful later, and it can be like a really unexpected raid.
And it can force your opponent to do another set of walls at the top of their base to keep them completely away from the water so the raids don't get in.
Yeah, and if they don't do that, I mean, their king might die. It is a potential if they keep it in a tower.
Snipe, especially if the tower is not close to the castle. We see Hearttt having it all the way back in that corner. And about not having the wall, you don't get that attack notification if the army runs in, as long as they're careful not to click on any of your stuff.
So different approaches here. We've got Fletching coming in for Mr. Yo. He had one war wagon queued, and he canceled it. So he could go for the wood upgrade. And, well, he's going for a stable in the center. So he's going to play for relic control. If he takes the 2 in the middle, and Hearttt takes the 3 down low, that's not the worst trade in the world for him.
He really needs to get the 2 in the middle, though, if he is going to be investing into the light cav. But the good thing about having the leftover light cav, if you take those relics, is that wall's going to be open, and he can try to raid inside the base with the light cav.
1 wagon here from Mr. Yo. 2 more in the queue. They are kind of expensive, and he's going to think about snagging those relics. Both players with 5 fishing ships. It's a few Chukanu coming out from Hearttt. Chukanu are going to struggle against the wagons in low numbers.
Wolf trying to hit the wagon there.
Yeah, the Wolf is going to struggle against the wagon as well. Yeah, we'll see the matchup right here. I mean, the Chukanu feel less clunky to use, but the wagons just tank so much damage.
Yeah, it's like the Chukanus, at least they have the damage output that they can kill a few wagons here and there, but they just have so little HP compared to them.
I think like later on, when you get 40 Chukanu with Bracer and with all the upgrades, it feels like an okay matchup against wagons because the wagons are so clunky. They take so long to engage and get close, and it's not an easy patrollable unit.
And it's hard to get all of them attacking at the same time.
Exactly, because limited range as well. So the Chukanu are good there, but early on, I mean, it's just a unit to keep Mr. Yo busy, essentially, and try and distract him from the fact that Hearttt is stretching out for that relic. Nice little monk snipe there with the scout from Mr. Yo, and he's probably going to take the 2 relics in the middle. I think he already took one of them. No, they're both still there.
Both still there. But when he takes them, that stable in the middle is just the perfect position to get the scouts there to hit that monk.
Exactly. And Hearttt doesn't know about that, I think. So Mr. Yo, really good positioning on that side. He's heading out now with some villagers, but look at who's patrolling there. There's still wagons, and I think Yo will realize that Hearttt probably has units over there. He's about to find out pretty soon.
It just left over from killing those deer earlier. I mean, he should see on the minimap that there aren't any more deer, but the Vill's going to walk right into there. The wagons are running away to the south, and that's going to be a couple of dead Vills potentially.
Is Yo, I think he's already walling up from his castle to the middle area, which could be a really, really good play long term. The villagers are running away. Only one of them is going to die. The wagons can protect these. And Hearttt actually snags one of the relics in the middle, despite the stable that we talked about and the scouts being over there for Mr. Yo. Hearttt manages to sneak his way into a relic, and now Mr. Yo dives for the monk, and he loses the scout.
The towers. How often do we see the towers on these maps actually matter?
Yeah, the tower's usually just, a refuge for the king to keep it safe so you don't accidentally ungarrison it from the castle. 4th TC now coming up from Hearttt. We look at the eco right now. He's got 56 villagers against the 47 from Mr. Yo, and he's 2k resources almost ahead.
Well, this is where the Chinese have their advantage on this map.
Yes.
And Heartt's going to need to do something, transition to Imp, get a good push despite the war wagons, and try to win the game quickly.
So Chukanu actually feeling okay here in bigger numbers, but as you can see, Yo just pulls the wagon away, and now every single fight is going to be a retreat from Hearttt. Those wagons can dive under TCs. They could snipe the occasional villager. They are more expensive, which is probably why Hearttt has more eco right now than Mr. Yo, because he's investing more. But they put out a lot of damage, especially in the Castle Age.
And they have so much HP that when you're fighting the Chu Canoe, when one gets weak, you can pull it back.
Exactly.
And you can heal it or put it in your castle.
And that's exactly what Mr. Yo just did right there.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a good situation for him. Monks are quite good against them, and Sanctity now coming in for Hearttt.
This is where the limited range of the wagons makes them tricky to use when the monks come out.
Ooh, Yo was thinking Siege Workshop. He actually places it further back. That's not the greatest placement ever, but this is something that Yo loves to do. Like, I know you've watched a lot of Mr. Yo. I've certainly watched thousands of games of Mr. Yo. He has 3 TCs. Odds are he's going to have a forward Siege Workshop because he wants to keep your attention on one space for a very long time as the wagons now dive in. Easily snipe the monk, even with Sanctity. And now they're going to go after the Chu Canoe. There are 2 more monks, so Yo will have to retreat from this area unless he feels like trying to snipe this. He goes for the Sanctity is big here, and he doesn't get a single conversion.
And now the Chu Canoes, are there enough wagons? I don't think he can chase that, but now he has that hill. He's pushed the Chu Canoes off of that hill where they might have had a chance of killing some wagons.
And he's going for a Mangonel. So the Mangonel is going to make life very difficult. Chinese don't get redemption.
And look at his stone count. Look at his stone.
Yeah,
he could do a castle on that hill by that TC in the south.
Do you want a castle there? I don't know if you do. I think the castle in the middle is the better play, right? Between the 2 golds in the middle of the map.
Well, you know, there are still those 3 relics on that pond. If you do a castle there, then there's nothing that stops you from taking those relics.
I mean, yeah, and I think he's walled up north from the woodline to the castle too, so he could lock down that entire side. He's already, okay, he's just walling this. He's just walling this. So that should accomplish the same thing, keeping Hearttt away. The Mangonel now firing. Nothing doing from that shot. Yo commits again, trying to go after this monk. He's going to give up conversions, but it's the weak War Wagon, and he converts it right back.
And he loses some War Wagons to the Chu Canoes. He loses the Mangonel. Now, that's the one thing the Chu Canoes do. They shoot so many arrows, they actually can kill Mangonels. It's tricky with their limited range, but Heartt's defending there. And look at that res count, 2.5k more res ahead, and he's just about ready to go up to Imp. Yeah,
really good situation, all things considered, for Hearttt. He's got 93 vills for 71. Still has to be concerned a little bit about that Siege Workshop, and Yo's done a good job preventing him from getting the relics, but Yo still hasn't grabbed them himself. That was a really interesting fight there where Yo was like charging up his monk on one of Heartt's Chu Canoe, and then Hearttt converted the wagon, and then he instantly converted it back.
Oh, that ungarrison was not good for Yo there, right in front of the Chu Canoe. He's going to lose both Mangonels.
Both Mangonels going down. Remember, the Mangonels are less for like killing Hearttt as just for delaying him and keeping him on his own side. Mr. Yo content now to retreat, and I think he's going for an outpost in the center, so he might be thinking about a castle in between those 2 golds in the middle of the battlefield. There's now more ranges coming up here from Hearttt. He's going to attack into more skirmishers, some archers on the way as well for him, and ooh, this could be towers. This could be
a dock for more fish.
I mean, it probably is a dock first, but imagine what he can do back here with some keeps.
Is Hearttt aware of that? Is that in his line of sight? Because once you're through the walls, you might not have buildings.
He's got Chinese TC. He can see the villager
building. He can just see the villager.
Else. And he can see the dock in the north as well.
And he just did town watch, so he will be aware of that.
Whether he actually notices it is a different question, though.
Because you're not going to be looking there.
No, and it blends in with the water, too.
Yeah, Yo's playing.
It's blue.
Yo is the blue player here, right? Do you think Hearttt actually turns on team colors, though, so he's playing as blue?
I don't think so,
His
no.
PC? No?
No, I think you
not
only
with red
turn
versus
on,
blue.
I think you only turn on team colors if you're playing up against a weird color, like an orange or a gray or maybe a yellow. Monks coming forward from Hearttt. That's a lot of monks with Chinese. It is a lot of wagons for Mr. Yo, but still... Skirmisher on the way from Yo. The skirms can do well against the whole army from Hearttt if Yo has a competitive Imperial Age time, and he's only a minute and a half behind.
Yeah, and remember, the monks now for the Chinese, they do have access to block printing, so they will get that extra range. They no longer have redemption for converting siege, but you don't need that for the war wagons, and the range will be really useful for them, just in keeping the wagons away from the Chu Canoes.
Yeah, although long-term value for Chinese monks, fairly low, especially once the skirmishers come in. I really like what Yo did with that wall earlier. Mentioned it a couple times, and you can see the value that it's had. Like, if he didn't go for that wall, Hearttt would be in the back of his base chasing these wagons around. And right now, Yo has a lot of freedom to do whatever he wants in his base because he's buying himself some time.
And you can say the same thing about Heartt's wall. If Hearttt didn't wall there, those war wagons would be running right into the south. Oh, there's a ram.
ram coming out from Mr. Like, it's just... It's just like, who does that, right? Like, who goes for a ram here to push through these walls when your opponent is in Imperial Age? That's really, really aggressive from Mr. Yo. He continues to pressure. Block printing now on the way for those monks because Hearttt expects the wagons to come back this way. I don't think it's going to be wagons at all. I think it's just going to be skirms.
Well, if it is just skirms, that's going to be good for the Treb board, because he has the Trebs out first, he has the castles there, and he has the Treb production. King going to the keep in the back. Yo, being extra aware of that King
Extra
now.
aware, yeah. And look at, there's the keep, and now the houses are being built here, and suddenly it's kind of a pain for Hearttt as he didn't notice this at all, that villager being very, very sneaky. The army is now in from Hearttt. I don't know if there's that much they can find there, but the skirmishers are coming out from Mr. Yo, and critically, Koreans not only get keep for free, but they get the final armor, all the armor upgrades for the skirmishers already, and he already had Bodkin, he got Bracer right away, he got Chemistry, which is almost in. Those skirms are fully upgraded, like instantly.
Yeah, and those skirms are going to be fighting Chukonu that have limited range.
Yeah, so this is fine for Mr. Yo. The wagons are coming back now. I think the monks aren't in the right position to help out this army, and the wagons are just going to come in and snipe this trebuchet.
Oh, that's poor positioning on the Treb too, being so close to the wall where the wagons can hit it.
Ooh, villagers coming to repair. He might be able to save it. Where are the monks? Where are the monks? There's 2 monks right there with block printing, and more monks on the way.
There they go.
10 monks. Yo needs to back up.
Again, he saves the Treb, and it's so important to have 3 Trebs out, because that's the threshold where you really can't repair and keep a castle up that long, as the 4th Treb comes in now, makes it even worse.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult to find space to repair on this castle, to find areas to get the skirms involved. You can see him deleting the walls around there. Bombard cannons are huge in this Civ matchup, but you kind of want to keep that castle alive, and that castle just went down, so Hearttt is pressuring. Heartt's got a good eco setup here. He probably has the worst tech tree, but if he does damage early, it doesn't matter, and he snipes the cannon, like you said.
And now it's just skirmishers from both players. We've hit the skirmisher war part.
Well,
the
and the
League
monks.
transition.
Like, Theocracy on the way. I think...
you don't see that from Chinese that often.
Illumination was coming in. You don't see that many monk upgrades from Chinese at all, no. So really, really solid stuff, even without Redemption. Skirmishers now coming in. Yo doesn't really care if he gets some skirmishers converted. And he's going to go even for a tower behind that. Another bombard cannon. Did you see that? Oh. Maximum range, it got sniped as it was coming in.
And that's what you want against the Chinese. You want those bombard cannons. It's something that they struggle to deal with, but if you can pick them off with your Trebs and get lucky, you feel like you're in such a better spot.
So I feel like I want to know what you think right now, because I feel like Yo can continue doing the same thing, bombard cannon skirm, and be successful if he survives.
That's a big if. Look at the res collected difference. About 4,000 more for Hearttt.
Yeah.
And I think Heartt's in a position. I think Heartt's in the better position here.
Yeah, and I was about to ask you, like, what should he tech switch into, but it's going to be Cavalier.
Thing, I think.
It's going to be Cavalier from Hearttt. Yeah, and I think that's a really good call out, because if Yo manages to hold on against this composition from you, it's going to be really, really bad for you long term as Chinese. And I think you need some sort of backup plan to take advantage of your good food eco and the resources you have in the bank. And Hearttt is making the transition into Cavalier. I don't know if he's going to make any immediately, but he wants that to be available. Like, he gets Cavalier, doesn't even have the first armor upgrade. Doesn't even have bloodlines, right?
I think you need to do all 3 of the armor upgrades before you actually...
Yeah. It's a step-by-step process.
And it's a tricky transition now, because you're at that stage where you're at 200 pop, and you don't want to slow down your army to make Cavalier and hide them.
All right, skirmishers backing up. Yo's got the bombard cannons. This is so difficult. You can only rely on the Trebs for so long. Like, you got to get lucky with the shots on the bombard cannons. You can't convert them with the monks because you don't have redemption. Another trebuchet goes down. And Yo, if he plays patient, if he plays really, really defensive here, I can see him pushing this back. The cavalry upgrades are on the way from Hearttt, but they're slow.
Oh, but the skirms could pick off another cannon here. A Treb might go down. But that's the only thing Hearttt can do right now against the cannons, is just keep the skirms far enough forward that the cannons don't get in range of the Trebs.
And he sniped it with the final javelin from that one skirmisher. That skirmisher did its job there. Siege engineers, though, coming in from Mr. Yo. Is that tower going to win that fight?
It's garrison and it's shooting more arrows. It probably will.
Another keep here from Mr. Yo. Skirmishers still pushing in. Heartt's doing a fantastic job with the Trebs, just keeping them behind this wall of skirms. And he has the monks backing everything up, converting skirms, converting wagons. The unique tech now for the Koreans coming in for the extra range. Arrow slits as well coming in for Mr. Yo's towers.
But he only really has one tower there. It's not like he has 10 or 12 towers and Heartt's trying to push through all of them with only Trebs. He's on his back foot adding towers just to buy himself time to try to eventually...
I think it's so he can win this one. Oh, he lost! He lost! Heartt repaired. I think that's illegal.
That tower was not on fire. There were repairs.
I think that's illegal.
Another cannon going down to the skirms and to the Treb. Heartt's done a great job picking off those cannons.
This is very frustrating for Mr. Yo. I mean, and Heartt is doing a fantastic job with the conversions too. Here we see the first couple Cavalier on the field as Yo just desperately tries to take out this Treb any way he can. He's going to whittle it down, and the Treb is going to die. There we go. More towers behind from Yo, taking advantage of his civilization bonus and the unique tech as well that he got. And more bomber cannons on the way. You just have to ask, like, how long is this res going to last for Yo? How much gold does he have? How much stone does he have? He's got a little bit, but Heartt has more.
Well, here's the question. When you get the Cavaliers as your Heartt, where do you send them? Do you send them into the main battle, or do you try to run over to the right-hand side of the eco, maybe try to hit the wood line on the right?
Yo was walled on the right side, down below.
But it's open now with this.
Oh, it is open, yeah, through there, yeah. I think maybe you take a look, right? Maybe you can distract Mr. Yo. I know there are some towers over on the right side, so if you're Heartt, potentially, you don't want to go for that idea. He is walled at the bottom there.
He's adding more towers.
This is getting tough here for Heartt. I think he really needs the Cavalier now because the skirmisher numbers are falling. There's too many towers, and Mr. Yo is slowly whittling down the skirm numbers, and he can come forward with his bomber cannons to potentially snipe these Trebs.
I just don't think the Cavalier can be useful when there are that many towers out.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for sure. You have to use them to just protect your Trebs.
Yeah, and before we saw the skirmishers with all their range able to protect the Trebs, now the Cavaliers have to actually close that distance and get under the tower fire to hit the cannons. Might pick off another cannon there.
He gets one.
Down it goes.
He gets one, and if he can control the cannons, which are incredibly expensive, there's nothing to kill the Trebs, and the Trebs are the main damage dealer here for Heartt. So the Cavalier filling the role that the skirmishers filled earlier, keeping Yo as far away from him as possible. And this is just beautiful from Heartt, taking advantage of his superior eco that has been rolling this entire game. We have more resources collected from him, more efficiency from him overall, and now the Cavalier Skirm combo with the Trebs behind is absolutely feasting on everything that Mr. Yo has.
Yeah, Yo's population is dropping. He's down to 140.
He's got Vills, and that's it.
He's got 130 Vills and 140 pop.
Yeah, skirmishers coming in, more towers on the way, Arbalists coming in as well. We've got even architecture, so these towers, I think, aside from murder holes, I think they're like fully upgraded. Any heated shot, technically, I suppose, but I'm not certain if Koreans get that. Murder holes,
There we go.
There we go.
He's clicking them.
Oh man, this is really tough. We've only been looking here, and this is an extremely important area for Mr. Yo. Remember, his king is still in that tower back.
I mean, the Cavaliers could snipe that tower at this point.
It's a keep, though, and he's got murder holes.
That's true. The murder holes protects the king.
Yeah, he needs the Trebs to help against that.
Yeah, Yo doing all the upgrades just to protect that king.
More raids coming in. Severe lack of towers in the eco. The king is on the run now.
He's running.
He senses danger. Now, Yo is still at 130 eco. He's got 126 villagers. He still has 3 fishing ships, and he's gone for a cannon galleon up north as well. So he's just trying to do as much damage as he can along the edges and disrupt Heartt however he can. He's staying in this game because he knows Koreans are the better late game civ, but he's lost so much momentum.
And he's just so far behind in eco, too. I like how Heartt has 3 monks on that island, and he just forgot about them. He's microing so much with the skirmishers.
Well, we've been waiting for those relics to be picked up for ages.
For all game.
Yeah, and it just hasn't happened. Heartt hasn't felt the need. He's focusing on the important areas here. And Mr. Yo finally with some Arbalists to clear up those Cavalier, but how much have those Trebs done? It's incredible. The Trebs have provided so much value for Heartt so far this game.
especially with sniping off bombard cannons even from the start. That's what Yo really wanted an early imp, to get 3 or 4 bombard cannons so he could one-shot the trebs.
Yeah.
But he never got to that mass in time, and he kept losing them one by one, and that let the treb push continue.
That was the priority, right? It was very clear. Like, even with the skirms, even with the Cavalier, even with the trebs, it was just kill those bombard cannons because I can't convert them. Doesn't have redemption. Hearttt has no chill. Hearttt is just coming in here with production buildings. He's got the skirms, he's got the trebs, he's got everything in the middle of Yo's eco, and he's got more Cavalier on the way. Capped Ram even coming in for him. Mr. Yo is struggling. Hearttt has been pop capped for the last, what, 10 minutes?
Yo doesn't even have 200 pop space anymore. He's going to need more houses at some point. He's lost all those castles.
I don't know how he's still at 177, though. Like, how has he not lost more?
Oh,
Ooh,
the
transport ships.
Oh, he only had 2 monks over there. He's going to need to take another trip.
Yeah, well, he's going to drop this off, and then it's going to take him 15 days to bring those to the monastery, and then it's going to take him forever to go grab the other relics.
You can't shift Q units that are inside of a transport ship, unfortunately.
That makes sense. That does make sense. But Cannon Galleon's still working away on the eco from Hearttt. Maybe Mr. Yo can bring something over there. I don't know if he has anything to actually bring. And there's a forward castle with the trebs that have been alive all game rolling over now to the south. Another one still attacking in the north. And Siege Ram on the way from Hearttt, still fully pop capped here. Mr. Yo somehow up to 180 pop. We don't know how, as the monks now load in the transport ship. Those ones bring that relic back to the monastery, and Hearttt will finally get that gold income.
Will he get those cannons under that castle? He's trying to pick off those trebs, and maybe finally
He's going to get the cannons.
Trebs.
He'll get the cannons, but the trebs are going to go down. One treb will remain.
Well, one treb he can repair against. That castle might stay up for a bit now.
Yeah, and he's still got a bomber cannon, so, I mean, Hearttt has to be a little bit careful. I like the way he's positioned that treb behind the castle. Makes it difficult for Yo to snipe it. But still, Yo is at 170 pop with an enemy right through the middle of his base. I don't know how he's managed to keep his pop up like this.
Oh, we have a moonwalking transport ship bringing the last relic in.
Wouldn't that be a moon sailing transport ship?
And it's walking on the water.
Oh, okay. Ram goes down.
Is that castle should go down now. The ram comes in.
The Rams are going to make life extremely difficult for Yo. He can't keep his bomber cannons alive anyway. And he kind of needs the bomber cannons to help against the Rams. The Cavalier now coming in from the other side. Doesn't really have much for that. The Halberdiers are over on the left, so he's going to lose villagers on the right. And he's even to the point where he's like selling food for gold.
And he's housed again. He's housed after losing that castle. So this looks pretty over for Yo on a map.
I honestly have thought it was over for Yo for the last 10 minutes, and it hasn't been.
Well, that's Yo. He'll find ways to hold on, but I don't know if he can find a way to win from here.
I mean, maybe not, right? Maybe not. It kind of looks like he's making his light cav up north, though, near the water, in the middle of the map. He's got some units maybe raiding up there. Yeah, there's light cav coming in. There's a bombard cannon.
Oh, do you think he's gonna go for a snipe?
Ooh, dude. Oh, did he see that before? What's his line of sight look like? Look at Hearttt. He's walled that in completely. Yeah, he doesn't know.
He can take a guess though, right?
I know, but
the map's the same thing every time.
Credit to Hearttt for walling that in completely.
Yeah. And look at Yo's king all the way on the right corner. He's doing everything he can to keep it safe.
Yeah, and Yo calls the GG. That was a good game. I think Hearttt did a really good job. He knew where he was going to lose, which is late, like really, really late if the Koreans have a good setup. And he took his eco advantage and he pushed like a madman.
Yeah, and that was an eco advantage he had despite losing the fish in the north too.
Yes.
He managed to hold on to the fish in that little lake and just boomed so much more effectively than Yo. Even with the war wagons, wasn't really too big of a problem for him.
Yeah, I mean, at one point we looked at the economy and he was 1,000 resources collected ahead, and I think both of us were a little surprised after he lost the fish. How far ahead? But it makes sense if you think about it. 3 extra villas for Chinese in the Dark Age. He stays in Dark Age longer. Mr. Yo spends a lot of time going up to Feudal. He's not really doing that much with his eco. Good job from Hearttt. The transitions were perfect, and killing the bombard cannons from Mr. Yo was exceptional.
Yep, and as you were saying, you saw players going for these insane, very fast up builds on Copenhagen.
Yep.
But we're not going to see them every game because they do have weaknesses, and they're going to put you behind in your eco.
And it becomes hard, even if you clear the water which those fast builds are for. You clear the water in the north. Becomes hard to then invest in the water in the south because you don't have an economy. So the other guy can go build 2 docks down there, like we saw from Hearttt, and Mr. Yo is stuck on 1, and he's just trying to survive with the villager. He can't afford enough spearmen to contest in the middle. It's a little bit better for the player who has stayed in Dark Age longer, who has had the better economy, and Hearttt took advantage of that fully.
And Hearttt can just read the uptiming from Yo and know how to react to it by going to that other dock.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Yo with his thinking face on. He's really pondering.
Yeah, I think Hearttt got up, so now he left Yo to be the one on camera.
God, watching Yo play live, like, it's not only his keyboard that it feels like it's made out of lead and looks weird. He, like, doesn't have his arm on the table, like his mouse arm. He has just the wrist on the table. Everything they tell you not to do, and, like, ergonomically, right? I'm surprised it's still there. There's the keyboard, by the way. And he just flicks his wrist a little bit. He's super chill.
He has a very, very low DPI on the mouse. Mm-hmm. You really have to move your mouse about 2 desk lengths.
I know, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't do it.
With his wrist.
He does it all with his wrist. I mean, it's just the little things, right? There's that wonderful keyboard we were talking about. It's very interesting.
It's purple.
It is, yeah. And no, it's actually multicolored.
It's multicolored. It's purple with a whole bunch of colors in it.
Anyway, we have a message from our partners before we make our way into the next game.
And now, a word from our partners.
Eek! A mouse! A mouse!
What is it, dear? Why you rage? Oh, honey. That's no ordinary mouse. It's the Reaper 250. With this mouse in your household, you never have to be scared again.
Yes, the U-Rage Reaper 250, featuring DPI control, advanced ergonomics, RGB lighting, and customizable buttons, is the perfect addition to every competitive household. Why U-Rage? It's all good. Get yours on Mueller.de.
Welcome back, everyone. Game number 3 upcoming. I think we can pull up the draft here and see what both players have available to them in terms of maps remaining.
And I was told the map's going to be High Tide.
High Tide,
so
okay.
You're going to be picking his first home map there. And what civs do we have? I mean, Armenians, classic water civ. Mm-hmm. But do you think Hearttt might be tempted to go Mongols there?
You could go Mongols. You could also go Lithuanians. Very, very good hybrid map civ, right?
I'm looking at the overlay now. Is the overlay swapped from the scoreboard and the players? Yeah, it is. Yo's civs on the left.
Okay.
Yeah, because Hearttt just played Chinese on the previous map. So Yo picking his home map of High Tides, and he has Mongols available, which I think would be a really interesting civ pick here.
Yeah, Mongols are Lithuanians. And then on the other side, we have Hearttt. It's kind of weird with it.
He doesn't have a traditional civ for High Tides.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the Persians or the Malians or even the Incas that we've
He's got Huns.
He does have Huns.
I think Huns are good there. Yeah, I think Huns could be really, really solid there. Magyars could also be really solid. If you want to play land, so one thing I've been thinking about on that map is, like, if you want to play land early and then you go and dock in the feudal age and, like, take out all your opponent's fish and you're pressuring them on water, if they have to invest into the dock and the fishing ships, sure, they get more food, but it's going to be really hard for them to get up at the same time as you. It's going to be really hard for them to have the wood for the production buildings to defend. So I think that could be a play.
I wonder if Saracens also could be a civ there because they have the faster firing galleys.
Maybe.
And then they have the market.
Are you usually playing galleys on that map, though?
I think it's an option.
It is an option, okay.
I mean, depends on where you dock. If you go for 2 docks right in the middle, then you're probably going fire galleys. But if you dock on the shallows, you have more room to get the galleys
the
out.
edge, yeah. Although they can come right through the shallows in the middle underneath that gold area to get directly to your docks, right? So it's not like they have to go all the way around, as they often do. Okay, here we go. Game number 3, we've got Yo, and he's going to be playing
as the Lithuanians, if I can read the civ icons correctly, and then Hearttt as the Huns there.
So Hearttt has opted for the Huns. Now, Mr. Yo has already come out here.
What is that wall?
With the dock. I mean, he's keeping the villagers safe until he has enough wood for a dock, I suppose.
Okay. I've not seen that before.
I think that reeks of him losing way too many villagers in practice games, right?
Right. And I mean, I guess there's a threat that if the Ville gets walled in, you don't have room for the dock, so you might as well wall the entire area.
I mean, there's also a threat that maybe your opponent sees you're over there and comes in like palisades the shoreline, so you can't dock right next to the shorefish. Maybe that's happened to him before, and that's why he went for such extensive walls. It seems like a little bit of an overinvestment, but he's already got the dock up and he's got the fishing ship coming out. We have Hearttt now pushing forward, and he's going to find a shorefish of his own. He's going to go for the dock a little bit later, as we usually see civs against the Lithuanians being later up with the dock, since Lithuanians can send the initial villagers directly to wood. They get that 100 food in the bank.
Exactly. They start with that extra food, so you can skip some of your Dark Age and go straight for the lumber camp and go for the earlier dock.
Okay, we've got now Hearttt kind of banking food, thinking about going up to Feudal Age quick. I would expect the same thing from Mr. Yo. Loom is now on the way, so he should be clicking up, I believe, after Loom is up. And he even has 2 more fishing ships, so huge fish advantage early for Mr. Yo. We'll see how Hearttt decides to overcome this. Obviously, Huns, with their military production, are pretty solid, and not having to build houses is really, really nice, but it also kind of nukes them in a way. I don't know if you share this opinion, but Huns not having houses means that people don't wall as much as they probably should with the Civ.
You just have so much more distance to cover, and you're covering it with palisades, which feel very weak.
It feels bad, but I think it's good. I think it's good if you can wall yourself and then have insane production from your military and such a varied tech tree, especially in Castle Age. I think it could be really solid. Why he has that fishing ship inside the dock, I don't know.
That is a good question.
It's just chilling.
It wants to take a break from fishing.
Refitting.
It's like ACCM needed the break between his games last set. Fishing ship needs a break.
Exactly. All right, gold now coming in from Hearttt. He didn't have enough for a mining camp, or maybe he just wants to bring in 10 gold there. Long distance mining. And now he's checking out what's going on Mr. Yo's base. Mr. Yo goes for the second dock really, really close by. So he's probably going to open fires, although he doesn't have any on gold. Mr. Yo, none on gold. And he's up in 20 seconds. Okay, there's 4.
Okay. I mean, interesting dock location from Hearttt, too. Not going for the middle, just going for the shallows, where he basically only has 1 fish. So it wouldn't surprise me if Hearttt just gives up the water and goes land.
Yeah. You'll want to have enough pop space to queue up 2 ships and a villager. Needs that house, needs some more gold now. A little bit off with the build, I think. Getting to Feudal Age, not having enough pop space and not having enough gold to go for the fires. So it's going to take him a little bit longer to clear up those fish, and it's a stable immediately from Hearttt. So Yo will have to contend with the scouts coming out, and also some galleys to maybe snipe the fish being added here from Hearttt.
Yeah, and also the way the maps have spawned, maybe a bit more open for Hearttt. Yo could wall, but it's going to be tricky if the scouts come in early enough. At least he's seeing the stable.
Yeah, good scouting. Good scouting for Mr. Yo there, just bumping that stable a little bit, and he attacked it. Do you think he attacked it to let Hearttt know that he knows that there's a stable?
Do you think he plays that type of mind game with Hearttt?
I don't know.
I could see him playing that type of mind game with like Vivi or Lix or one of his teammates. I don't know if he's that familiar with Hearttt.
I think he would. I think he would. Or maybe he just patrolled in there. Fire's now coming in. Hearttt has a flag on the dock. Mr. Yo doesn't know what's in there. It could be a fire galley, could be a demo. It's actually going to be a galley, and the second galley is on the way, and those are just to snipe the fish.
Those are just to snipe the fish, and he's going to try to use that passage around the shallows you had mentioned earlier, maybe to go around the south side of that island.
I feel like people forget about it. People just forget about that passage. They spend so long in the north that they forget they can just sail along there.
Well, there aren't any fish there, so I can understand it being forgettable.
Scouts coming
nice
in.
Wall.
Good wall there
Nice
from Mr. Yo. A
walls.
little bit extra damage on Hearttt. It's not going to kill any of these scouts, but takes one down to about half HP. So Hearttt needs to retreat. I think Hearttt is adding in a range behind. He's snuck out with the galleys now, and there's the range already. Mr. Yo, not certain if he actually saw that range, but he can assume that's where the transition is going.
Yeah, and now the transition is going to be the scouts prevent Yo from full walling himself, and they force those small walls, so now the archers can come forward and try to do damage.
Galleys now
Looking for
moving
fish.
away. They were looking for the fish. They didn't manage to get them, and Yo is actually adding more fish. So Yo is going to be have to be really attentive to his fish up north. I think he saw the galleys there, and he's looking for them, but he can't find them. So Hearttt can swoop back in and start sniping fish again. Hearttt just waiting for the archers.
There they are. There they are.
On the land, and he's found the fish. One fishing ship down. Two fishing ships down.
6 arrows to kill a fishing ship, so it's 3 volleys from a pair of galleys.
Unless it's a Japanese fishing ship or a Portuguese fishing ship.
Or unless the arrows miss too. They miss sometimes.
Do they?
They do, yeah. They have 90% accuracy on the galleys.
Oh, that explains some of the fish that I haven't killed.
Dave's like, my entire life has changed now.
My life is a lie. I just assume that they hit every shot. All right. Galley's running away. I don't think there's an escape route here for Hearttt. They're slightly faster than the fire galley, I believe, but...
And he's still sailing around. It doesn't matter how low the HP is. They still shoot arrows and kill the fish.
And the archers are in. The archers are in, but Yo is ready for that. Skirmisher Spearmen. Lithuanians, great civ to play Skirm Spear. They're a little bit faster. They can catch up with the archers if they're running away. They can catch up a little bit faster with the scouts. And yeah, Heartt's not finding anything. Heartt's not finding any damage here. And now Hearttt is about to lose his galley, his final galley that he's nerding out with.
No, he still has 2 there. They're just stacked on top of each other.
Are they stacked?
Yeah, there's 2.
Oh my god. Or maybe there's another one on the other. No, I think there's another one. Oh, they were stacked.
And he's gonna
How
find
did you
some
see
skirms.
that?
Yeah, you can see the little trail of water behind them.
I guess I'm the little trail of water. My man is watching trails in the water. Okay. This is why you know more about the game than I do.
Yeah, we nerd out about the game a bit too much sometimes.
Yep. More farms here from Hearttt. Wasn't able to do any damage on the land, but he does have 5 scouts. However, he has lost his presence on water, and Mr. Yo is going to be expanding his fishing eco there. So you can see Yo already ahead in res collected. And Yo theoretically has the army that he needs.
It's that scout archer versus spear skirm composition that in large numbers, when you have lots of scouts and lots of archers, it feels like that's the stronger set of units.
Yeah.
But in small numbers, when the skirms, they don't really care about the scouts. They just try to dive the archers.
I think the big problem with skirm spear is that if your spears die at any point, you're dead. Right?
And also,
like,
you can't really counterattack with it.
Exactly. Like, if you're the archer scout player, if one of your units dies, you'll still have an army, right? If you lose your archers, you still have the scouts. If you lose your scouts, you can retreat with their archers. Not the case with skirm spear. If your spears die, your skirms are most definitely dead. You got to play very, very carefully with the positioning. Market now coming up for Mr. Yo. I think he realizes he's not winning this in feudal. Not against this composition. He needs to get to Castle Age. He needs to take advantage of his fishing ships, and he needs to play defensive overall.
And the Lithuanian skirms are going to be really important if Hearttt decides to go cav archers as the Huns. Lithuanians, I feel like they generally have a weakness to cav archers because of how reliant they are on their nightline, and they really need to use their skirms well to make up for that.
I mean, he's already got skirms, right? So it wouldn't be a difficult transition. I think
at all.
Playing into cav archers here might be, unless you're going to add siege right away with them, it might be really, really tough against the skirms if Yo has a competitive uptime. And Yo is about to click up. Hearttt is already up. 2 minutes and 15 seconds away. 2 minutes and 30 seconds away for Mr. Yo. And the scout numbers aren't really there from Hearttt anymore. So the skirmishers can almost fend for themselves as the scout now comes out from Mr. Yo as well.
But that's the last spear now for Yo that's gone, and the skirms now have to sit under the TC to stay safe from those scouts.
There's only 2 scouts, though. It's not really a threatening number. We've got a third one on the way, but it's very, very far away. And Hearttt is just looking for another angle to do damage. I think Yo might have gotten Town Watch earlier. I'd love to see his line of sight and see if he can actually spot these units moving at a long distance. But he will know that the archers are coming in now. As the scouts work away on the house, nothing doing over here. Hearttt continues to rotate, looking for damage.
Nice walling from Yo to keep them out, and great usage of the skirms, keeping them inside of the walls so the scouts can't get to them, and just slowly whittling down the HP on the scouts.
Minute away from Castle Age. 30 seconds away from Castle Age for Hearttt. So you said cav archers can be good against Lithuanians. If you're not going cav archers in this situation, what else are you doing here with the Huns? Are you going into crossbow? Are you thinking about knights, maybe?
I mean, you can go pretty much anything in the Castle Age with Huns. You can go knights, you can go cav archers, crossbows. I just saw him do the armor upgrade, so it looks like it might be a knight transition.
Okay, so he got the armor there. He's gonna go Cav Archer Knight, and he probably will sneak in some light Cav upgrades later to snipe the monks from the Lithuanians, or maybe he does that with the Cav Archers. Who knows?
Yes, those skirmishers, they move faster, and they will pick off the rest of those archers. That one scout, very low on HP, but everything there is going to get cleaned.
Those could be annoying. This is a good clear up from Mr. Yo. Also, he can take care of that scout. Maybe.
Maybe.
One hit, come on! One hit! There we go. Perfect.
Let's maybe see what military buildings Hearttt has right now to see how committed he is to either knights or the Cav Archers.
Yeah, I think he's probably only one stable and like maybe 2 ranges. Yeah. So the eco isn't really there as the second town center comes up from Yo. The eco isn't really there without the fish to go knights and Cav Archers long term. The knight is more there to just kind of force Yo off of skirms, if nothing else.
But you know, even knights against skirms, it's hard to take those fights if you don't have +2 armor.
Yes. Yes.
Just getting 1 or 2 knights out, if they only have +1, they still can get picked off by skirmishers.
Yeah, if they're in low numbers for sure. Mr. Yo getting that +2 armor. He's getting the +2 armor. He's getting husbandry. The Cav Archers are coming in. Is there much damage to be done? Not really with the knights chasing after. So initial Cav Archer army not finding value. As he moves his way through Yo's base, he's probably going to get cleared up by this unless he can sneak out that hole.
Ooh, he's trying to go around the house.
Ooh, Mr. Yo with some quick walls. And a raid here on the stone of Mr. Yo. He's got more Cav Archers coming in, got 1 conversion, but did snipe the monk. Looks like he sniped the villager too. So at the same time, Hearttt is using his mobility with 2 different armies still. Mr. Yo manages to defend, +2 knights pushing back, and he still has the fish. So he still has a slight eco advantage over Hearttt.
And Hearttt wasn't really able to get the type of damage he wanted after he gave up on the fish. So now Yo has a lot of fish access in the north, and that's just going to continue feeding his knight economy. And maybe we should talk about the relic positions here. Yo is the Lithuanians. We have 1 on the northern island, 1 all the way in the south, and then that triangle of relics in the middle.
Yo is diving in. Yo is diving in, and he gets both of the monks. He doesn't get a knight
Not
converted.
a single conversion there.
And he's chasing down
He's getting a
another
third.
monk, but he gets distracted by the villager. The knights are in, though. The Cav Archers are hovering right behind that. Look at Hearttt. He's not taking the shots that he's not going to hit. He's waiting till he's really up close to those knights. He wants to clear them up, but +2 knights, killing villagers regardless. Yo with 7 eco kills. I think 2 of those were fishing ships before, so 5 of them are going to be villagers from Hearttt. Hearttt with only 4 eco kills. I think 2 of those were fishing ships as well.
But now he's starting to get that Cav Archer mass. He's starting to get the unit that'll counter the knights. And what does Yo do against them now?
I think you just hold
He's
for a
got one
while with the
skirm left.
+2 knights. Yeah, and then you can make a transition if you need to. I think the +2 knights are enough to just keep them busy at the moment. I don't think with this many TCs you really have to be worried about dying in Castle Age unless you let him kill all the villagers underneath the TC.
Ballistics is in now. And maybe he can pick off another couple of Wallingvilles.
Yeah, this is a good play from Mr. Yo. You just raid. You just raid. You rely on your TCs to defend. If he gets in too deep into your base, you can make some more knights to counter him. At some point, you can go into a castle. You can get hill forts, which is a fantastic tech against Cav Archers running around.
It gives you extra range on the TCs, so you actually can force them away far enough that your villagers are safe.
Yeah. And I think in a previous NAC, Yo said the most underrated tech in the game is hill forts. So he knows about it. He's aware of it. Whether he's interested in going for it is a different question. Still only 5 on stone, so the castle is a ways away still.
But he's thinking of it. He's thinking of it. And Hearttt trying to pick off that monk. Yo dancing the monk. Keeping it alive still. Finally it goes down.
Nice job from Hearttt. Really nice job. He has ballistics, 17 Cav Archers. But where are you hitting? Where are you doing the damage for Hearttt? You can pick off a villager here or there, but now you run in. There's scorpions. There's town centers. There's going to be a castle soon. I think you need something other than just Cav Archers to finish this game.
He's adding in a 3rd TC. And, I mean, looking at the res collected, despite the fish, it's only 500 difference. Hearttt down in Vills, but if he gets the 3rd TC running, might be able to start closing that gap a bit, as long as he's keeping the pressure up and raiding.
I mean, those fish have been sailing to the other side of the world for fish for a very long time. Like, it has not been efficient ever since the feudal age, essentially. So It has boosted his eco a little bit, but it hasn't been the biggest thing ever, as now another Scorpion trying to be sniped down. This is a good attempt here from Hearttt to snipe villagers and kill the Scorpion, but he's losing HP on those cav archers and he needs to run away.
Yeah, the repairs come in so quickly on the Scorpions.
Oh, wow.
But
So many
this is
villagers.
great. Once you get ballistics, those vills die. We saw that in the previous set, and we're going to see it again here.
And still pulls ahead in the eco KD. Losing some HP on these cav archers. Mr. Yo just like refuses to do anything about that, and it might be because he wants the cav archers over there to a certain extent. He wants to go for that castle safely as the cav archers try and run out of the map, and now the Scorpion's got a good setup. Another commitment here from Mr. Yo to try and go for those monks. He gets one, and he can't get the other one, but the castle for him, I believe, will complete, and he's somewhat dealing with the cav archers in the back. A lot of them are very weak.
Somewhat dealing with them, but still not completely dealing with them. They will get out, and that castle will go up.
Going for the second relic in the bottom of the map, I believe. The monk is on the way. He's already got one in the monastery, so his cavalry have +1 attack. And there's another one up north. Hearttt has gotten 2 relics. And do you think that demo from Mr. Yo is waiting for a monk to come grab that
I think
relic?
it is.
That's sick. If it is, he's just like patrolling and waiting for that monk to snag the relic. That's so cool. Ooh. Ooh.
Ooh, cav archer's not paying attention.
These are weak from before. Oh, don't pull. No. What are you doing, dude? Oh, man. He pulls the Scorpions back to deal with the cav archers in the front. He's getting some good raids under the TCs here. +2 armor has had insane value for Mr. Yo as he continues to kill villagers. And now it's Hearttt struggling from the raids of Mr. Yo. Mr. Yo seems to be able to lock down the cav archers from Hearttt as they try and sneak in to that wood line one more time.
But is there an overchop there? I think they can get in on the left.
Man, hill forts would go
Notice
crazy.
it.
Hill forts would be able to range those cav archers.
It would be.
9 range on the TCs.
Oh, but
is
Hearttt-
nuts.
Hearttt wants the
Ooh.
relic in the south, but Yo has it already.
Yo sneaks away with the relic, and he's still got the demo on patrol, I believe. No, the demo died. Did it kill a monk? What did the demo? We need to know.
The demo's gone.
I don't see a body. I don't see a body. Maybe it sank
that's
in
the pain of
marsh.
dying on the shallows. It just sinks into the water.
Yeah, exactly. There's no evidence left behind. We're going to assume that that demo went crazy.
We're going to
and just
assume that
killed a
Hearttt
monk.
sent about 5 monks to grab that relic.
Yep. Lithuanians with the latest. Very, very dangerous composition in the later stages of the game. Also dangerous here in the Castle Age, even up against cav archers if you don't get the shots off early. But Thumbring is on the way for Hearttt, and Hearttt still has 27 cav archers right now. It looks like he's kind of patched the walls on the front side of his base, so not a ton of raiding potential for Mr. Yo anymore. And he's going to apply pressure, but does Yo even need to react to this? I don't think he does. Just a couple Scorpions should be fine.
And Yo's doing ballistics himself. I mean, I feel like Hearttt at least is keeping his cav archers alive. And maybe not against those Scorpions, though, in the back.
Yeah, those were the weak cav archers from before. Meanwhile, another raid from Mr. Yo, and the walls were not patched from Hearttt, so the Lithuanians, the latest, are in the back here, and they're going to snipe villagers super, super quickly. Hearttt is at 82 villagers right now. Yo is sitting at 87 villagers, and Hearttt now has to pull army back to respond to these latest. In the back of his base, he's got some idle economy. Mr. Yo adding a second castle. And ballistics is complete for his Scorpions now.
But it's still about the unit composition. The late chat, I think they're going to struggle to deal with cav archers if the cav archers get to that big mass.
Yeah, but they can just raid. They can just force them back. Like I think Yo is in a much better position than Hearttt right here. Like Hearttt can't do damage to Mr. Yo. Yo can do damage to Hearttt.
We'll see if Heartt's able to clear this up. He should be able to, and then that kind of resets everything now. Yo, a bit of a villager lead, a bit of a res collected lead. But Hearttt at least now has shored up the back of his base and has the army to kind of deal with the raids as they come in. He's up 33 to 18 military right now.
Ooh, I was saying he can't do damage. Okay, that outpost was clutch from Mr. Yo. That went up just on time. He was thinking about extending south and taking advantage of that gold and the stone and everything down there. The outpost went up at the perfect moment.
If that outpost doesn't go up, the cav archers continue on and find the vills.
Yeah, like 12 vills. Just dead. Especially with Thumbring and ballistics already in.
That's a raid that got cleaned up, though, and that's pretty expensive. Yo does click up to imp, though. Hearttt not going to be too far behind, though. And Hearttt with the score lead now as that imp is clicked. He's using the market to go up, and there we go. Less than a minute difference there. And we're not really going to have forward castles or an immediate Trebor, so that difference isn't going to be too important.
I mean, the bottom of the map might start adding up here. The gold and the stones down there might start mattering pretty soon. Who can get control of that? And Mr. Yo obviously was attempting to go down there at some point. Still hasn't grabbed the relic in the north. Heartt's done a good job locking that down. But Hearttt might be the one that gets a castle south first. And he might just strangle Mr. Yo in terms of long-term gold access.
This is where the water might even come back into play if Yo is able to keep those docks up there and keep water control and stop Hearttt from getting to that gold island.
Yep, there's gold on both sides, right? There's gold in the south, there's gold in the north. Right now, Yo can't extend to either of them. I think Hearttt can. So we'll see what he does to lock that down. Scorpions with ballistics are a problem, and Hearttt is just avoiding those.
Well, that's what he can do now. He has enough mobility with the cav archers that he can pull them back. Oh,
Ooh, he snuck the relic out of there, too. Great job from Hearttt. Oh, but, oh. Scorpion?
Has ballistics.
Scorpion with ballistics. Can it get a final shot? It can't, and the villager dies, too. Last-ditch attempt to deny the relic. Yo's going to be stuck with 2.
And that's clutch against the Lithuanians. Remember, they no longer get Blast Furnace. The +2 is just going to be like a normal Imperial Age cav unit there.
Latest trying to catch up. Relic drops so the monk can convert, but the Scorpions with ballistics are so tough, and Hearttt just needs to avoid those until he has Bracer, essentially. Now the conversions are targeted for both players.
Oh, that's a good conversion, because he can get the Scorpion and then delete from the other monk, maybe?
Yeah, that was a sick conversion. Really, really sick conversion there for Hearttt. He backs up with the latest Mr. Yo, and he waits for the final armor upgrade to come in. Handcart also on the way. Conscription also on the way. He's getting all his techs. He's setting up his eco. 42 on food. Probably adding more farms too, and a lot of gold in the bank. The question is just, can you secure those gold areas?
And, well, now if you're Yo, you have the Scorpions out, but there's just so many cav archers. I feel like they can pick off the Scorpions in these numbers.
Do you tech into Skirm now? You have the latest. You want Skirm.
You have the faster moving Skirms as Lithuanians.
And you get the Tower Shields upgrade, which makes them so hard to kill for the cav archers. The problem is that Hearttt will probably then tech switch into some cavalry options, right? Look at the resources from Hearttt too. Is he going heavy cav archer right away? It's not usually the tech that you go for. Elite Latest is on the way for Mr. Yo, and that's certainly a strong unit.
Yeah, and there we see a heavy cav archer chemistry. He has Bracer already. And I feel like heavy cav archer, a unit that can deal very well with the latest.
I don't think any unit can deal with the latest.
When they only have 2 relics?
Yeah, oh, man. I don't think anything can deal with these things. These things are ridiculous. They always have been, and they will continue to be ridiculous. Hearttt is trying to track them. But if these things ever get in, they could kill 30 villagers in the blink of an eye.
Okay, well, Vil count's just about even. 43 military to 18. Hearttt has the advantage there right now. And he's getting the upgrades he wants on the cav archers.
Like, Yo is playing so defensive here. How much gold does he have left? That's my question. He's got that stuff, and I think that's about it. He's got, yeah, I mean, kind of has that, but there's an army of cav archers in the way. The latest are now attempting to get in at the backside as the cav archers attempt to find damage again in the north, and Yo is making a tech switch into skirmishers. I believe the latest are in to hard space. What are they going to find? We've got the latest now running into monks. They'll kill him really quickly, and they're able to deny a town center potentially.
That TC needs to go up so the Vils can garrison. And there it goes. Hearttt needs to notice that. He needs to garrison. There he goes.
Even if you do notice it, they die in 2 hits or 3 hits. Like, they die so fast. And in the meantime, he's running with the cav archers in the north. Just lost a bunch of villagers. Down to 120 now. Mr. Yo at 121. And still the question remains, how is Mr. Yo going to get access to the gold? He is teching into the skirmishers. Hearttt has 54 heavy cav archers. But Hearttt is now extending north, and he already has the castle south. Heartt's played this really well in terms of controlling golds. Yeah. He's done a really good job.
And I wonder if Yo has room to do anything else on the water, but he doesn't even have the War Galley upgrade. So if he wants to do maybe some demos to control the shallows, it's going to be a bit before he can make that transition too.
Yeah, more villagers dying. It's more cav archers dying, but severely outpopping the latest. They're going to take care of them, and some good quick walls there from Hearttt to just you know, contain the damage a little bit and make sure that he kills all of these latest that are in the middle of his base. Yo will get some scouting in the south, and if he finds that castle, well, it might just be kind of a kick to the rear to tell him that he needs to get out and secure gold. He can't just sit like he has for so long. He's going for stone walls in the north.
Sit behind those walls more.
He wants to sit some more. Like, oh, and there's a hole. There's always a hole.
There's a hole.
So difficult to find the hole there. He had partially built every single wall except that one section in the middle. As the Cav Archers come in, the skirmishers looping from the north side. So Hearttt will run into those skirms, but I don't believe that Tower Shields is in yet.
And the skirms don't have their final armor upgrade anyway. He can just dive the skirms and kill them with the Cav Archers.
Yeah, it's so tough for Mr. Yo. He spent a lot of time building up those skirms, and Hearttt just absolutely mowing down that army from Yo. And Yo still does not have, I feel like I've said this 10 times, still does not have long-term gold access. He's got that pile of gold, and I think he's got 1 or 2 tiles in the back of his base.
And only 2 relics, too. And look at that castle on the north. Hearttt wants to secure that island, and he's aware of the gold situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes it can be hard to fit a castle on that island. Heartt's lucky he's able to find that little sliver of land where he can fit it.
Tower Shields on the way. Final armor upgrade on the way for the skirms. This is the last little bit of gold that Yo can use. He can mine maybe like 1,000 more, put that into latest, and then he's going to be producing skirms. He's going to be producing trebs. I think when he pushes out with the trebs here, he has to be really careful. Like, keep them in a ball of 4 and be super passive with their positioning. If Hearttt snipes those, you might not be able to afford a lot more.
Right, and we just have the Hussar line upgrades coming in now for Hearttt, so he's going to be ready to make that transition to another unit if he needs to fight the skirms.
And here come the trebs. They're coming south. So Yo is going to prioritize the southern area. Hearttt shifts all of his army down there to deal with that. He's got the castle going up in the north that we saw before, and that is so many Cav Archers! T-West! That is so many Cav Archers. 61 Cav Archers here for Hearttt.
I mean, those are good skirms, but still, there can be repairs on that castle. They're going to take the fight and try to focus down the Lechai. And you know what the castle could do? It could make it just a couple of Tarkins now to try to snipe off the trebs.
I mean, maybe. There's also a dock going up from Hearttt, so maybe some Dromans down there could be insane, right? I don't think he has the War Galley upgrade, though, so Demo's potentially not doing as much damage. He's going to go for some to try and get some value against the skirmishers. The trebs are still working away against the castle. The Hussar are finally here, and they might be able to snipe the villagers or reinforcements coming from the other side. Cav Archer number now down to 53, but Hearttt still trying to take out these trebs. Mr. Yo probably needs to repair the trebs. Hearttt is just committing here. Hearttt is trying to stop the push from Mr. Yo.
Now the castle's on the hill. 2 trebs really can't take down a castle on a hill if it's being repaired, and I think Hearttt has held this.
Hearttt has the 1 demo raft on the way. Surely that doesn't get a lot of value. And War Galley is coming in, so he's thinking about the demos, but he's losing the Cav Archers, down to 38 Cav Archers now. How can he hold this castle if he loses those Cav Archers? The latest are all over them. I think the Cav Archer number is falling, and the castle might follow suit, but here comes the demo. Yeah.
There's nothing.
I mean, I'm the biggest demo believer in the world, but even I could not summon enough belief in that demolition raft thing that Hearttt sent out there. More latest on the way now from Yo. Remember, this is like the last ditch attempt from him with the gold. Now it's regular demolition ships, and they die to skirmishers.
He needs a few more of them.
He needs a Droman. It's probably just going to die right away, but like, it could make Mr. Yo nervous. More villagers now looping out to the north from Hearttt, and big demos coming in on the skirmishers. Hearttt getting value finally.
And that's what he needed to keep the Cav Archers alive. He's finally cleaned the skirms. He has enough Hussars around to deal with the remaining ones. And now he just needs to remass those Cav Archers, and he has the gold to do it. He has the gold access in the north and in the south. Yeah,
that was sick. The demo play actually working out here as they come in, and they're going to get good damage against the latest. And now it's so tough for Mr. Yo to move across these shallows and to try and support his trebuchets by pushing the units from Hearttt back. Hearttt going for more demos, has the gold access, now getting the Cav Archer number back up again. And Mr. Yo, he still just feels like he's running out of gold.
Oh, here come demos on the trebs.
One goes down, and that one actually dies quite quickly to the castle as well. And the Cav Archers commit again.
Trebs, though. He has enough Cav Archers he can pick off the trebs. But as long as he keeps this down to 2 trebs,
I don't think he's keeping this castle alive. at this rate.
How many vills does he have there? Usually it's about 6 or 7 vills per treb, and if it's on the hill, it's a bit easier.
I mean, it went down to 140 HP. It went down to 140 HP, T-West. It went down to 140 HP. I mean,
close.
It's really, really close. And another demo comes in, and Hearttt is trying to dodge the skirmisher shots so he can get closer.
And it goes
Mr.
down.
Yo needs to get rid of that castle. He needs to push in here, and he's gone for a dock of his own as Thumbring comes in. He finally has potential access to gold. There's been so much focus down here. Nothing has happened anywhere else on the map.
Hearttt with a castle in the north has just been chilling on that island mining gold. But, you know, it still might be difficult for Yo to get
Heavy
vills to
demo.
mine this because of all the demos that are going to be on that shallow.
Heavy demo for this tiny little shallows river. I absolutely love it. Unfortunately, the Treb is attacking the wrong dock. He could have denied that there.
Denied it.
But Yo has access to stone. Yo has access to gold. Hearttt does not have access to stone. He's got plenty of gold. He's actually got more gold in the north, but there's no stone up there.
If you're the Huns, though, do you really need the stone?
I mean, castles are nice, man. You saw how long he
nice.
held on to that. As soon as he lost it, Yo was pushing forward, and Yo with more latest in the queue. Yo with more skirmishers. Hearttt, lowest cap archer number I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, he's going to struggle to keep that mass up, but look at all the gold he has. Hearttt right now has 40 vills on gold. He's a stockpile of 1.5k. He needs to get his army back up. He's dropped in population down to 170, and he can't take that fight when he's at a low pop.
Dude, the amount of patience here from Yo, he had such belief in this composition. He waited, in my opinion, way too long to go south, but he got it. He finally got there, and now he has gold access. He's got the skirmishers, and he's got the momentum in this game. He's sitting on the hill, taking out another castle from Hearttt. He doesn't have the stone to make more.
And this is what we always see from Yo, right? Getting to these late game situations and just finding ways to win and stay in the game.
And such good positioning on those trebs too. Yeah, that's what Hearttt has. He has a lot of gold. He's got a lot of gold access. 54 on food as well is beautiful. I mean, what do you do here if you're Hearttt? You feels like you can't leave this position to raid because you don't want to give up the front side of your base. But at the same time, you need to force some of Yo's army away from here. How do you do that?
You just have to hold the hill with the cav archers, but it's so hard when
I don't think you
can't kill the skirms fast enough.
Hill forts, or sorry, not hill forts, tower shield skirmishers with elite lattice in front is so difficult to deal with if you're the Huns.
And remember, the Huns, they only have the mangonel. They don't have the onagers for trying to get onager shots on skirms either.
Mm-hmm. As if the lattice wouldn't just snipe that anyway. They don't seem to care about pushing in, and now with gold access, I don't think Yo cares about losing too many of them. Moving his Treb slowly forward, there's another castle to take. Hearttt actually bought 500 stone for a castle, so he can go for that option. He can use his excess of gold to just brute force
base,
one.
though. He's putting it down there, try to stop raids.
A little bit nervous about the latest coming in again. Back up to 49 cav archers, so he's done a great job on that count. He should have enough gold and wood to keep the cav archers coming out for a while.
I mean, he has so much gold. Do you think there's a point where instead of going Hussar, he should just go for the Paladin line?
I mean, yeah, for sure, but it takes time to switch into that, right? And it doesn't feel natural. It's kind of a niche situation.
But it might be what he needs here just to kill the skirmishers. The Hussars just aren't really doing the job.
Yeah, and the skirmishers are just pushing forward. The latest will deal with the Hussars as long as the cav archers are attacking the skirms. Might have been a little bit of an overcommitment there from Yo, but he realizes, I think, fast enough. And once the castle is up, Hearttt will need to back away from this whole engagement.
And even if Yo loses that fight, he's still getting the position on the castle while also using his trebs on the other castle.
This is just like a really sick game, honestly. Really, really sick. The patience from Yo, the amount of time he waited, the 3 castles defensively with the walls until he was almost out of gold. He pushes out. Hearttt, the control that he exerted earlier with the cav archers, really, really phenomenal. And then the production still, even late into the game, when you feel like you're losing momentum, Hearttt is holding on. He's trying his best to keep Yo away from him.
One latest in the back, denying 10 farms. I mean, look at
That's
Heartt's
the classic.
Look at Heartt's farm count.
Yeah.
Only on 45 farmers. If you're spamming Hussars, you really want to be 60 plus at least.
Yep. Even Town Patrol now coming in from Mr. Yo. So he's got some excess res. He's going for hill forts as well. Beautiful job from him. And maybe he can, you know, add a TC to snipe the gold villagers from the other side of the river. Who knows?
He's going to have those forward outposts too for the Town Patrol. He's going to see everything.
It's actually a castle now north as the latest chew through the Hussar, and they'll get to the Cav Archers eventually. Cav Archers sitting on the hill. It's only a matter of time. The Cav Archers are going to melt against this. It feels like Hearttt needs to pull those back if he's going to save his Cav Archer numbers, but he actually keeps them there. If anything, he's got the wood, he's got the gold. The Hussar are the harder unit for him to make right now.
Yeah, the food count for Hearttt is just such a struggle for him at the moment. Oh, he has Trebs, though. He has Trebs in the north already trying to deal with that castle. He needs to repair, though. He needs to repair that Treb.
And he's repairing it. And he repairs it. And he snipes the latest. Great job from Hearttt to keep that Treb alive. Where are the latest numbers here from Mr. Yo? He's not really producing them at the moment. He's now selling resources for more gold.
Yo only has 4 villagers on gold. He has the south, but Hearttt had been down there with a couple of Hussars here and there just doing some raids.
Yeah, that could have been a huge impact. Just
Yeah.
those 2 that we saw earlier.
I mean, the same thing we saw on the farms where that Leeches is still there. Those Hussars in the south could make a big difference, and Yo could lose the Trebs here.
He's got to be really careful. He's trying to repair. He loses
Lost
another
2.
Treb. Remember, Hunnic Trebs are a little bit more accurate than the Lithuanians if you're just going to be involved in Treb wars.
Those Cav Archers all dying to the skirms.
Is that latest still going ham against the TC?
I see it blinking on the minimap. It is.
That thing is going crazy.
You know how the arrow numbers change as you get for the attack upgrades and fills in the TC? I don't think the TC is actually shooting it.
No, I think it's got 1 vill inside. Man, the gates around the gold just to keep the latest out, but the latest are still killing. The Trebs are being sniped. Can he get this one? Can he get this one? Can he get this one? The Cav Archers trying to kill the latest, but not in time. The Treb does go down, and there's still a Trebuchet there from Mr. Yo.
And now the wood count for Hearttt is starting to drop. His out of wood on his side of the map almost. He needs to go to the south to secure more of it.
Yeah,
I think Yo did have a bit of a better map spawn in terms of wood.
Yeah.
And Heartt's starting to run out.
I mean, he still has wood in the south. He can go to the south. Hearttt, unfortunately, cut off from the wood in the middle. And I don't think wood is what he's really thinking about right now. You just assume your wood eco is okay, and by the time you notice it, it's a real problem. If he does get it, back under control, though, there are options up here. He could go for Dromans on the water. He has heavy demo already. Like, he's got some options if he can add in some docks, and he still has quite a bit of gold left to take as the Cav Archers are microing very nicely.
And he sniped all the Trebs. Bombard cannons could be a problem, but it's still there.
That thing is going crazy.
Going for the university now.
It's in the middle of the base now. Good setup here from Hearttt behind those gates. What an insane game. What an amazing game we've stumbled into. And there's the first dock from Hearttt going up as well. So Hearttt realizing he's got potential if he gets onto the water. Trebs from Mr. Yo still pushing, and now bombard cannons against the Trebs from Hearttt.
The gate is open. The Treb is holding open the gate.
Oh, wow. It is. The latest are through. That could be a disaster if he loses that Treb as well. 2 latest working away on it, and the gate was open. Oh, man. He also sniped the bomber cannon from Mr. Yo. The first bomber cannon I think we've seen this game.
Both players losing all of their siege. And you know what? Heavy demo Droman might just be the play here in the north. That castle's so close to the water. The Legions is still raiding.
Dude, that thing's going crazy.
He's going to pick more bills. I mean, look at Hearttt. Heartt's down to 95 villagers. How many kills does that latest have?
I think we just need him constantly there. We just
16 kills.
We just need him.
Give Hearttt 16 more villagers.
There he goes. Oh, here he goes. Okay, there's another one. Hey, and another one. It doesn't matter. Hearttt taps out. Insane game there. The patience from Mr. Yo to wait so long before he comes out to the gold and stone area. I thought he waited too long.
He waited as long as he could have.
Yeah.
In the last moment, he's able to push out and take out the castle. If Hearttt, it feels like there are any small number of things Hearttt would have been able to do differently.
Yep.
If he had the demos earlier, got better demo shots, maybe a few more vills to repair the castle.
He went for the demos really fast, though. Like, really fast. I got to give him credit there. Like, he did do that really, really quickly.
He did. And it was perfect from Yo.
Yeah.
Everything went right for him there.
I mean, that's one where if you're Hearttt, you're really struggling to see. I'm sure he has ideas. I'm sure if we would ask him, he'd, say, oh, I shouldn't have lost these 2 Cav Archers, 2 minutes in the Castle Age or whatever. But that's a tough one to know what to do properly in that Civ matchup. Maybe you just have to get more damage early in Feudal Age. Remember, the scouts came in. Mr. Yo found his stable early. He couldn't kill any villagers.
Right.
His archers got hunted down by the skirmishers early.
But still, that's the tricky part of the Civ matchup. The Lithuanian skirms do that.
Yeah, and if you're in a position where you need to do damage early in Feudal Age to prevent the game from getting out of control, that's going to be really tough if you get to Castle Age and you haven't done anything. Like, it's really, really tough for Hearttt, and he has to win at least, the next game to stay alive. Yeah, and Mr. Yo only needs one more. I saw Mr. Yo. He went out for a smoke break after that very long last game and very intense
intense last game.
He's
going to be ready for the last two.
He had a little smile on his face. I don't know if you saw that.
He was happy about that game, definitely. Yeah. He knew he was in a tough spot.
Yep.
But, I mean, that's how Yo plays. He gets behind, and he finds ways to stay in the game and finds ways to win.
Okay. So we're going to go into a short break here before we get into the next game. Thank you.
And now, a word from our partners. Tired of interruptions ruining your moment of peace? Discover true tranquility with the Hammer Bluetooth headphone Passion Voyage. With cutting-edge noise cancellation, immersive sound, and unmatched comfort in every note. Sounds like more Hammer.
Welcome back, everyone. We are about to go on to Game 4 after a crazy Game 3 there on High Tide. That was really, really incredible from Mr. Yo to pull that one out. Great mobility there from Hearttt. Hearttt needs to win the next game to stay in this.
He needs the next two, and tough two opponents in the first 2 rounds for Hearttt from Leary and now Yo, but he needs to find a win somehow.
Yeah, exactly. As we make our way onto African reed beds. We haven't seen this map too often so far in the main event. A bunch of times in the qualifier, though, in our previous events as well. And it's going to be Magyars against Mongols. So no fish boom and civs here, eh, T-West?
No, again, we see those Cav Archer Hussar civs. And Mongols here, the very first pick from Yo. Remember, before he knew any of the maps, decided to pick Mongols, and he's using them here.
I think Magyars can be really annoying on this map, though. Like Mongols, you get the early advantage with the hunt coming in. Magyars, with the forging and the cheaper scouts, they can just run around your base really, really quickly. They can be super annoying. And then obviously late game, like you talked about, the Cav Archers. Can the Mongols beat the Magyar late game composition if maybe they're not controlling the middle and they don't have enough stone for castles?
It's tricky because, remember, the Mongols lack the final armor upgrade for the archer line. So their Cav Archers are going to be taking more damage against the Magyars. They fire faster.
One less range.
And Mangudai are insane.
Yeah.
But Magyar heavy Cav Archers are really, really strong.
Yeah, it's an insane combination. And 2 very similar civs, I think, late game, unless we're adding in the siege from the Mongols, which is amazing. But that's all assuming that you have enough stone for the castles and you have enough gold on the outside, and controlling those hills is going to be super tough. I think this game might end in Castle Age.
And if it does go late game, it's tricky because you need that stone right from the middle, and both civs rely on their unique unit for sniping the siege. Magyars with the Magyar Hussar and Mongols for the Mangudai. Now, if it gets to a point where both civs have castles, the game can last a long time because you're sniping off all the siege. But if you stop the castles, then whoever gets that stone is going to be in a really nice spot.
Almost perfectly synced up here on the zebra pushing. Perfect. This is what we need to watch right now. Both players have added the dock behind, so they're going to be, you know, a little bit later up than if they would just go for the pure land approach, but it will make their economy better long term. And I want to see what they do to lock this down. I don't think they're both going to wall. They might just both go for like a fire galley or something to keep their fish safe, or attempt to anyway.
Or you might just not do anything and leave the fish down there.
I mean, if you only have 2, right? Is it worth the investment to even go for a ship? Do you even want to go onto gold? Because you're going to need to.
Right. And you always have the option for fish traps later on, too. But some players might just not want to do that because it's so risky.
All right, so Barrick's already coming up for both. Mr. Yo having his first overall civ pick in the Mongols. And it's resulted in a 30-second faster fuel age time. I think he doesn't have loom as well. I saw Hearttt get loom, but I don't know if Mr. Yo actually ended up getting it on his villagers. So he might have that queued directly after getting the feudal.
Can be risky to do that against Magyars, but you need to rely on the uptime when you get it in before they get up too.
And look at this. He's there early with the scout. He's there early with the scout on the fishing, and he decides not to attack it. Wow, that's really, really interesting. Mr. Yo just, I guess, scouting whether it's walled or not.
And it's interesting because I don't think you can quick wall the Vil on the shallows there.
No, you can't.
So you have a pretty good chance to pick that off.
There's 2 villagers. The other one was hiding. Bro, I thought that was the fishing net. From the boat.
The net to camouflage in with the boat.
Mr. Yo saw that. I would have lost that scout 100%. I would have taken a 1v2 that was not advisable. Meanwhile, Mr. Yo trying to go for the full walls. Heartt's going to sneak in there with the scout, and that is so annoying.
He's still lucky not to get poked by that spear there, too. He's still on full HP.
Yeah, like, if you're Hearttt, you take a brief look around Yo's base, and then you go directly down to the fish to see what you can do. And it's a Magyar scout, so it has forging already. He's taking a look around. He's going to get an idea of what Mr. Yo's base looks like, including that hole on the left side of Mr. Yo's base. And then he's probably going to head down towards the fish.
Oh, but he's going to find 2 scouts there, and that hole's going to be walled. And it looks like Yo should have full walls protecting
Good job from
everywhere.
Mr. Yo. Yeah, really good job to chase that scout away. I think that's a lot more comfort for him now, adding the fishing chips coming in. More walls here for Hearttt. So both players going for the same strategy, and Hearttt is already adding in fishing chips, and Mr. Yo is doing the same thing.
And I wonder if we're going to see some fish traps added in from Hearttt because he's up to 4 now.
I mean, Yo is going to be up 4 soon. And Yo likes fish trapping. I was talking to him the other day, or he was talking to Viper or whatever about BF. And he said he used to not like it, but now he likes it if he has a pond. He likes the fish trap. So Mr. Yo is fully on board now with the fish trap meta.
All right, maybe he'll play in the next Rage Forest then.
Yeah, maybe. We've got scouts running away from Hearttt. He does have foraging advantage, but it's more numbers for Mr. Yo, and Mr. Yo takes the fight anyway, even up the hill. He ain't scared. And now he backs up. Now he is scared. Okay, so full walls for both. Who do you like better in this situation where they're both fully walled, they're both going for the fish? I have to think that Magyars might be a little superior.
I think I like the Magyars too.
Like, until the late game, anyway. Until you get the Magadai, then it becomes a different story. Maybe it shifts a little bit in the Mongols' favor, but in terms of just, like, Castle Age, full wall, the Magyar archer ranges produce faster for Cav archers. They just have more upgrades right away for their cavalry, having foraging and blast furnace in immediately. And it just feels a lot smoother. Essentially,
the only there's a hole. There's a hole, and is that a spear and a villager both going down?
And it's open. That's the critical thing, right? It's open here. As Hearttt tries to save that villager, that was a very difficult quick wall. He almost made it work with the hills involved. Really, really difficult to get that down. And this is the one thing that you wanted to avoid if you're Hearttt. If you're going to full wall, it has to be up. And he's already invested 200 wood into those fish traps, not let alone the amount he's invested into the fishing ships. This could be a big problem for him.
Yeah, it's a good thing he has that spear back there, and he's going to have to bring his scouts back. So any timing or momentum he wanted to have with those scouts being forward is just gone away as he has to come and clean this up.
Yeah, so Mr. Yo is very secure. I don't know if he's going to kill any fishing ships here, but he'll keep Hearttt running around forever. And he might even be able to deny the rewall on the right side if Hearttt hasn't already done that.
Nope, there he is.
Rewalling it there. Okay, great job from Hearttt.
So not going to take too much damage from that, just has to be very careful those scouts don't snipe a low HP villager. And we have Yo clicking up to the Castle Age right now, Hearttt going to be a bit farther behind.
Do they both play into Cav archers, or are you playing into something else if you're Mongols?
I mean, what do you do else if you're Mongols? Do you have camels against Cav archers? Maybe steppe lancers, probably not. You're going to go them against Cav archers.
I mean, if you're going camels or knights or steppe lancers, you basically got to get that +2 armor right away. And then you got to play the same type of game that Yo played last game, which is raid. And just push the... well, he's going Cav archers, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go Cav archers as the Mongols, they do shoot faster. So they will be better in the straight-up fights early on.
Yep. All right, scouts finally cleared there. Doesn't manage to kill a fishing ship or the fish traps or anything like that. And finally, Castle Age is on the way for Hearttt. He is a minute later to the Castle Age than Mr. Yo. Bloodlines coming in, Fletching coming in, basically confirming that it's Cav archers from Yo. Now, he does have a couple options, as we talked about, and Hearttt won't automatically assume Cav archers, and Mr. Yo is building those archer range out of sight of any of the units from Hearttt. So Hearttt still has some questions here on what Mr. Yo is going to do.
We have bloodlines from Hearttt. Let's see what buildings Hearttt is putting down, because as the Magyars, he does get that free +2. He might have an option just to open with knights if you wanted, say, to really aggressively take that stone in the middle before the Cav archers.
I don't know if you ever open knights here, though, as Magyars. Like, I think Magyars are more of a one-track. Like, I think Yo knows exactly what Heartt's going to do. Because he's fully walled, so opening knights just doesn't feel great.
It feels like this just has to be a Cav archer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Yo could make an argument for maybe going camels or knights and siege. But the Magyars, not so much.
He's going to repair that house there, try to keep him out. And we see Bodkin on the way already. And queuing up the Cav archers.
How many fishing ships for both? Six for Mr. Yo.
The 9 with
9 for Hearttt. Hey, and he's already got the fish traps down. I thought Yo was a fish trapper. I guess I'm...
Oh,
those are pretty clean. Those are pretty clean.
Right
Old Yo used to just, like, put them wherever.
He just put them everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Now he's very neat.
He didn't care. Is that a university as well for Yo going up on the right side of his base? I see that the archer range is there from Hearttt. He's got 2 of them now.
And if you're going Cav archers, you want ballistics as fast as you can, right?
I don't know if you want ballistics in this situation, though. Like, you're fully walled. Ooh, we got the wall on time to protect everything from the scouts in the back. He does lose the villager, but I think that's worth it.
That was a nice quick wall just in time. And down go the scouts.
Second town center coming in for Hearttt. So Heartt's not going to go for that university right away. Goes for the town center, and it was a university for Mr. Yo. Ballistics is coming in for him. Second wood upgrade as well. So he goes for university ballistics instead of the second town center. And he's really going to pressure with military. Heartt's going to be the one defending here in early Castle Age.
So now my question is, how do they transition and take the stone in the middle? Because we were talking about their unique units earlier.
Oh,
the Mongols.
That's a
that
long
stone
way away.
is so important.
I mean, you have the stone at home, so you can kind of like afford a castle to push out later. But I think in order to go to the middle, you're going to have to just have army numbers. It's just going to be mass CA.
A nice dancing of the villagers from Hearttt there, not to lose them.
Ballistics difference here is kind of big. The armor is coming in for both. Yo is going to get a little bit faster. And Yo has more cav archers so far. Although the Magyar production will catch up with that.
That it will. Yo getting now a second and third TC added in.
What's the exact speed on the production? Is it like 25%?
Oh, I forget the number.
How could you forget the... This is why you're here!
I know the bonuses. I don't remember the numbers.
I feel that, though. I'm the same way. I think it's 25%. It might be 30. It might be 30.
That sounds really fast. Most other bonuses are like 20%.
Yeah, it is quite fast. Meanwhile, I'm sneaking glances at the chat to see if someone can answer the question. Cav Archers now here from Mr. Yo. He's got 11 of them. 9 of them only from Hearttt, but he was fast to the second TC. It is 25%. I'm reasonably assured that it is 25 instead of 30. And the third town center now coming up from Hearttt. He was actually slower to that third town center because he goes for the university now.
It's just so hard not to have ballistics in the cav archer mirror. If you don't have ballistics, you lose the fight.
Well, and he was also spending a lot of wood early to get the fish traps set up, which Mr. Yo wasn't investing as many into, although he did sneak in his 7th fish, and he's going for more. He's thinking about it.
He has more fishing ships queued. I mean, at what point do we start adding in more docks? I think there's room for that.
Once you cover the first one, or unless you're floating like 200, 300 wood, and then you just go down there and start adding a couple more docks. You're fine.
Now, as we look at the middle of the map, there are basically 3 little hills there. There's the stone in the middle, but also 2 golds on either side, with gold mines and a relic. That's usually where you want to build your castles once you get the stone for them to control those golds on the sides.
I think it's really risky against cav archers though to go out there for your first castle. Like you either need to go with all of your army, or you need to make sure that your opponent is preoccupied somewhere else. Right. Ooh, nice fight so far from Mr. Yo. You can see the Mongol extra firing speed there.
And you can also see the ballistics there.
Yeah. In the reset shots, ballistics just coming in now for Hearttt. Good engagement so far from Mr. Yo. Hearttt doing well though as Mr. Yo tries to push in, and it's 14 cav archers for Hearttt. It's still 17 for Mr. Yo.
And they're not really going to engage in a big fight there. Whoever feels like they have the lower numbers is just going to run away.
Ooh, that's a weak palisade.
No houses behind it.
Palisade wall. And there's no villagers there immediately. Yo takes a risk. Yo dives in.
That's a risk to go in.
Yeah, this could be a really, really big risk from him. I think he's confident because he's full walled behind. Now he's looking for as much damage as possible, and he nopes out of there actually quite quickly.
I think there needed to be a way for Hearttt to try to like maybe delete a house and get a villain on the outside and wall that in.
Yeah, but
if he trapped that would have been insanely good for him.
I don't know if there was any villagers nearby.
He had some farmers there.
Okay. Might have been the best play. As the cav archers now coming back from Mr. Yo, still hanging around that middle area. He's just now getting husbandry. Did Hearttt have husbandry before? I think he did. So maybe that's how Hearttt was catching up to him so quick in that one fight.
The husbandry making your cav archers faster, of course. I mean, all of the techs super important for the cav archer wars. It's kind of that situation where you need so many techs, neither player really wants to get into the fight before they're sure they have them.
Yeah, exactly. And you're constantly checking what techs your opponents have.
Right.
And seeing if they have ballistics, like you'll know after the first fight. Thumb ring, husbandry, right?
The armor. And I mean, now Hearttt has the armor, Yo doesn't.
So he's got the second armor upgrade. Yo snuck in gill nets. And Yo has 12 fishing ships. Heartt's still sitting on the 9 fish traps that he made before.
Oh, he stopped. He stopped adding them in.
Yeah. So Yo is kind of expanding his eco. In terms of overall eco, very, very similar. Yo is a little bit farther ahead, but overall eco units, the same.
And he's adding skirmishers.
Skirmishers from the Mongols.
So going skirmisher, not going for the Hussar line.
No.
Just for skirmishers.
I mean, you can do that later, right? The food eco still isn't quite there. You're producing from 3 TCs, and you're thinking about imp at some point. I think you make that switch a little bit later once you have like 40, 50 on food, potentially. Thumb ring is huge, though, in Cav Archer battles. Probably like the biggest tech, I think, in Cav Archer engagements.
Yeah, right after ballistics. And we have a hill there for Hearttt. I don't think Yo can push that.
Nope. Yo definitely can't push that. There's 27 Cav Archers there for Hearttt. They're sitting on the hill, and it's only 19 for Yo. He does have the second armor upgrade with ballistics and skirmishers. So in a while, in a few seconds, he can maybe think about pushing it.
So now we see where that production speed of the Magyars is kicking in. We're at 29 to 19 Cav Archers, and Yo's going to have to make that skirm transition just to make sure his army still can take the fight.
Yeah, and like we talked about the late game a little bit. The Cav Archers for the Magyars are better than the Cav Archers for the Mongols. That's for sure. The only thing is the matchup between the Magyar Cav Archers and the Magadai. But if he gets to imp with like 45 Cav Archers, there's no way you're ever getting to 45 Magadai. Like, that's going to take forever. So I like the fact that Yo makes a switch into skirmishers and doesn't just go toe-to-toe with the Cav Archers against Hearttt. He's going to actually only use the skirmishers against Cav Archers and then look for damage with his own CA at the front side of Heartt's base. And he's in.
And he's in. Ooh, that's a quick wall, though. And they're kind of trapped under the TC.
There's too much to quick wall there. There's too much to quick wall there. The archers are, or the Cav Archers are coming in. There's too much. Hearttt forced to make a switch into his own skirmishers, but for the first time here, we'd see a big army in the other person's base, and Yo just keeps running. He's going to go to the fish traps.
He's going right to the fish.
You don't need to kill the fish. Just kill the fish traps. And then he has a bunch of idle pop, and it costs 100 wood to replace every single one of these. That is a huge value raid.
If they're weaker and they cost more wood than the fishing ships.
I mean, I would have kept the fishing ships on top of those traps.
Just to make it harder to click them.
Harder to click them. Yeah, I think moving the fishing ships away was probably a mistake, but I mean, Yo's going to lose the whole army.
Is it worth it to kill 9 fish traps to lose everything?
I think so, because you're going to play into... I mean, you pulled the army back, number one. You can build a siege workshop forward, which I think Yo is doing right now. And you're going to play into something other than Cav Archers and Imperial Age. So I don't know if you need to keep that army alive long term.
And it gives him control of the stone in the middle since he pulled it back. And right now with the skirms, they're not as strong of a unit as the Cav Archers, but they don't need mobility. They can just stand on the middle and keep the Cav Archers away and let Yo eventually control that stone.
Imperial Age on the way for both. 2 minutes and 50 seconds, roughly.
Oh, Lion?
Both of them.
Oh.
She's got Loom. And Yo queues up more Cav Archers. It's just kind of strange. Like, what's 5 Cav Archers going to do for you, right? I think it should go into skirms. Should definitely go into a castle somewhere. And he's putting it in the middle. He doesn't want to go for the gold area. He wants to go for the stone area so he can get more castles.
Yep, and that's tricky to defend because it is on that cracked terrain. It will take more damage. But if you're controlling the stone, how is Hearttt now going to get a castle? He's going to need to mine his own stone and maybe use the market a bit. Looks like he has some fills going to the gold area.
I think that raid was 100% worth it from Yo. Look at what that raid has given him. He's given him full control over that middle area now. And, like, the skirmishers are still kind of countering the skirms from Hearttt. He forced Hearttt into some skirms. I don't know if it's a good situation overall for him, but the constant back and forth with the Cav Archers was not working for Mr. Yo.
And now if you're Mongols, you do have access to the Mangadai now. How heavy do you want to go into Mangadai against Cav Archers from the Magyars and skirms?
You got to be careful. You got to slowly add them in. So it's mostly just skirmisher production, I think, at the moment, and then getting your food eco up to the point where you can maybe span Hussar as well, and figure out when it's appropriate to add the Magadai. They're very slow, so it's going to take a while for sure.
And I like how Heartt's controlling. He knows he doesn't have the middle, but at least he's able to control that gold on the right.
Good job here from Hearttt to control the gold on the right and then kind of control the gold on the left too with the army. So he's got, you know, his territory pinned down there on the right and the left side. Yo has his territory in the center of the map, and he has enough stone for more castles. Does he triple load up in the center with castles?
I mean, that's where all the stone is. That's where he can keep adding them.
It also is cracked earth terrain.
But also, how are you going to get Trebs there if you're Hearttt? You're not going to get a castle anywhere nearby if he's holding that with his army. The Trebs are going to come from the far side.
Ooh, relics coming in now from Mr. Yo. You notice the markets in the side, which we don't show very often. You can trade with those, but it doesn't. It's a 1v1. Like, you're just wasting pop space.
If we see someone trading with a market this game, it's going to be at like the 3-hour mark.
No, you need no. This is what you need to do. You need to make an outrageous, like, if I see someone with a trade cart this game, I'm eating T-West slipper.
And I mean, these are pretty big slippers. That's going to be a lot of slippers he has to eat.
If we see a trade cart this game, I am eating one of your slippers, and they are dragon slippers. All the skirms coming over. That's a castle attempt for Mr. Yo. Another castle in the center, and he's still got plenty of stone, and Hearttt is the one that pulls away here. Man, he did not see the skirms coming forward. He did not see the villagers coming forward, and he's just going to probably assume that Yo still isn't out there. By the time he comes back, there's going to be a castle on that side.
And the skirmishers are so tricky to deal with before you have that food eco added in to make that transition to the hussars.
Light cav on the way here from Mr. Yo. Stables coming up. Killing the villagers building those stables could be really annoying. But there's a castle there to protect. And yeah, struggling to push out is hard. I mean, when he does push out, he's going to need, similar to Yo last game, like 2 or 3 trips, maybe 4 trips, right? Recurve bow. Recurve bow is so strong.
Extra range on the cav archers and extra attack. And most importantly, when you get the full upgrades on your heavy cav archers, you can deal with skirmishers because they don't have that armor on the monk.
I mean, even with regular skirmishers, it feels like you can kind of do well with your extra range, right? Big shot there from the Mangonel, lots of damage. Skirmishers are in front tanking, still doesn't want to lose too many cav archers, and Yo, again, doing a fantastic job just buying himself time. He's got gold excess. Critically, he has so much stone available to him, and he's already made the switch into light cav. He's got the skirmishers. He's adding in the Mangadai, which is a critical part of this late game composition for him, but it takes so much time, and he's bought himself that time.
And I love how he added that castle on the right just to protect his trebuchets and make sure he can treb down that castle from Hearttt and take out that final gold.
Siege Engineers even coming in for Mr. Yo. Siege Engineers, that's an expensive technology, but it's going to be super useful if you're engaged in just treb wars constantly against Hearttt as he tries to defend. Like, Hearttt can't get Bombard Cannon, so getting the extra damage and the extra range is insane.
Yeah, the way for Magyars to snipe off Siege is their Magyar Hussar, but the way this game played out, he never had an option to transition into it.
Yeah, he's not going to have any castles. He has one back in his base, which Yo will probably target next. He's not going to have any consistent gold income because he's been kicked off of this hill. He's coming over with the cav archers, which are really, really dangerous, but Yo has so many skirmishers. He's fine to just trade, like, 2 skirms for every cav archer that he snipes, because behind this, he's slowly adding in his cav archer equivalent in the Mangadai.
And he's also slowly making that change to the Hussars. We see he's climbing up now into the mid-40s in the farms, and he still has the fish traps in the back, so he's going to have a good food eco in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the Hussar, you can basically dictate where the cav archers are going to be as well. You just go into the back for hard space. He has to pull back all his CA. That frees up so much space for you on the front side as the castle finally goes down. Mr. Yo thinking about rolling his trebs somewhere else. Hearttt thinking about a counterattack. But Hearttt has no military in production. He has no gold. He has no gold. He's coming out to the left side because he scouted there earlier and there was no Mr. Yo, and now there's a castle.
And Bills will go down to the castle. No mining camp there for Hearttt, and he hasn't noticed.
He hasn't noticed. No, it's so frustrating if you're him, right? You assume it's fine. You've been kicked off the right side, and then you look over, and there's no mining camp. There's no villagers. All you see are bodies.
Castle is going to kill Vils like that Latus did last game. He just keeps sending more.
Yo is just a master at, forcing his opponent to be in an area that he wants him to be. He forces him back into his own base. Then he takes the middle control. And then he makes the transition into the skirmishers and the light cap. And then he goes into Mangadai.
It feels like everywhere on the map right now, he's winning a fight.
Exactly.
He has 200 pop to 120.
Yep. And he's got all the hills controlled.
Vils is still going over there. He's still sending Vils to that castle. Can we check how many kills that castle has?
That castle has a lot.
20.
20.
Killed 20 villagers.
20 villagers.
And they're still going. They're still going over there.
Still going over there. And Hearttt unfortunately, is going to be 0-2 so far in NAC. What an incredible performance there from Mr. Yo. I mean, just resilience and 2 straight games where he was super patient.
Absolutely, and that's the type of game you see from Yo.
Yep.
It looked like he was in a really tough spot in Game 3.
Yeah.
Held on, and then same thing from Game 4. It was kind of equal, and then all of a sudden the scrums come out. Yo makes a good push, and suddenly he explodes in his economy and pulls ahead.
Exactly. Yo had one game that he struggled in, the game against the Chinese on Copenhagen. He tried to be patient there as well. Every single game feels like he's being super patient, and Hearttt was able to actually crack him with some really, really strong aggression, but he couldn't get the same momentum rolling in the previous 2. Good job from Hearttt that series, but not enough to get it done, and obviously, Yo, looking like the classic Mr. Yo of old, is kind of taking a step forward from where he was yesterday, and he's going to move on to his next opponent. We don't know who it is, but, I mean, certainly he's looking dangerous.
And he's had 2 very good sets, one against Winchester that won all 5 games, and now here against Hearttt pulling out the win. And just classic Mr. Yo style, finding ways to hold on and win in the late game, even if he feels down early on.
Yeah. Man, I mean, it was super impressive. We're waiting for him to show up for the interview, and once he's ready, I'll go on over there and be able to ask Mr. Yo some questions. Once again, very, very fun to watch. Game number 3 in particular was incredible. One of the better High Tides games I've seen. And it was nice to see them like just moving back and forth. Like it was kind of a chess match, right? Like one person moves forward, the other person moves back. They're
one person
contesting.
castles here, the other person castles there. One person adds the demos, the other adds the latest.
One person has micro, the other one has determination and macro.
And sometimes that matters more.
Yeah, exactly. I have to ask you, like, how do you feel about playing up against micro nerds, right? Like,
well, you can ask him soon as we're going to head into an ad break, and then we'll have an interview right after this.
And now, a word from our partners. The rise of modern technology takes its toll on all of us. Hours and hours at your desk leads to stiff necks, aching shoulders, sore lower backs. But there is a solution. Back Force. The Back Force 1 Plus doesn't just stand like a rock on the digital battlefield, it transforms the way you sit. With Gamer Pulse LED lighting lasting up to 20 hours, this chair is more than just a seat. It's a throne. Personalize it with patches for your nickname, clan tag, or any custom text. Because your chair should be as unique as you are. Every Backforce chair comes in a wide variation in colors, including this noble white and gold or black and gold colorway, and the Gamerlegion Special Edition. Sit like a king with Backforce. Back then, a pocket watch told you the time, if it wasn't broken, that is. Today, the Hammer smartwatches do so much more. From monitoring your health to managing your schedule, and even keeping you on time for the next Age of Empires final, everything is just a glance away. And they do it in magnificent style. Make more of your time. Hammer.
hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm here with our last series champion, Mr. Yo.
What?
I'm going to ask you the classic question. How do you feel after getting your first win here in the group stage of NAC?
I feel great, release, and relax. I feel really happy that I'll be able to win a set in day 2, because I remember last NAC was disaster for me at the start.
Yeah, you've definitely been in situations where you're like down 2 games or down the first a set of a tournament, and it feels really, really rough for you to come back, right? But you've managed to make it. As Dash said earlier, it feels like you're never truly out of it. Is that something that you take into these tournaments? Is that something you take into the games? Like, it feels like you're never really dead?
Well, I don't want to think it this way. I will win easily if I can, but I guess my early game is that great.
Yeah.
That's just my play style, and I kind of need more games to get into my shape, I guess.
Okay, so we're going to go through the replays. On this one, we had some really good games, but I think we started it out on Tiergarten. And how do you feel about this Civ matchup between the Incas and the Mayans? Because it kind of felt to me like he was really struggling to find any damage against you.
I think Mayans can be struggling against Inca, and I like my Civs there, but I made some tiny mistake. Have you noticed? I tried to cut in the wood, but I choose the wrong lumber camp.
You went diagonal instead of straight, yeah. So was your plan early to do the ACCM style of thing where you go forward with the tower?
Yeah, because that's the thing about Mayans. You take wood slower. You cut wood slower, right? So a tower in the back would be really nice.
And we saw at this point, like he was just struggling the entire time with the crossbows. It's basically the only thing that Mayans can really play into against you because you have the slingers against the eagles, right?
Yeah.
At what point did you realize that all you had to do was spam eagles? Was it as soon as you hit Castle Age? That was your entire plan?
No. I think sometime before that, when I chased his army back, and I was using skirmisher and kill some of his archers, then I saw more coming. I knew he was going for archers. Then I realized I can just spam eagles.
So we go into game 2, Copenhagen. You won the water really early, but then you couldn't get the pond in the south, and you kept running up against these monks from him as Chinese. Like, did you expect him to make that many monks with Chinese?
Yeah, I didn't expect that much Chukanu, to be honest. Because why would you make it? You're not gonna.
Well, it worked.
Well, somehow it worked. That's weird.
So what happened to you later in this game? Because we were stuck here. We were looking nowhere else, just here the entire time. Did he do a really good job of sniping your bomber cannons, or did something go wrong for you? Like, take us through how you were trying to hold this position and why he did so well.
I think his monk's micro is insane, right? So I was heavily distracted. There's NBL voice in my ear all the time, so.
Do you have that as one of your mods?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Everyone has to.
We were talking about your mods earlier, and it actually ends up distracting you.
Everyone has to have that mod.
So you tried to hold on for a very long time. I think you did a great job keeping your eco alive throughout this. I think you had 130 villagers, more or less. But every single time you had a bomber cannon, he would snipe it with trebs, or he would snipe it with skirmishers. What does that feel like in game when you see more bomber cannons dying over and over again?
Trebs counter bomber cannon, I guess. There was nothing I can do, and I knew he was like changing to cavalry behind this, and I don't know. I was dead. That's it.
Okay, we go on to the High Tides game. Probably the best game of the series, for me anyway. Were you really, after you won the water and you saw he was going into Cav Archers, playing as Lithuanians, were you comfortable that he was making Cav Archers?
No. I thought I was dead.
Okay.
But somehow he never managed to full wall his base, and I got there and did some damage. Then I think, I'm not sure about the economy situation in early.
I think you were ahead most of the time.
I was ahead?
Yeah, because you had the fish.
Okay. That's why. Because I was wondering why he didn't like go aggressive in early imp.
Well, you had this moment where you waited so long to come out for this gold, almost until you were out of gold, and then you had to make it happen, and you're getting hit by demo shots, and then he's got 50 Cav Archers. Like, did you feel a lot of pressure to take this castle down?
Yeah. I saw how many wheels he had. Like repairing the castle, I was like, I have to take this out, otherwise I'm dead. Because I didn't have the top goal either. So.
And once you won that bottom area, did you feel confident that you could win the game from that point?
Yeah. Because I can take many storm and gold, and I'm happy with my unit.
Is there something he could have done this game that would be better for him than what he did?
Like I said, I didn't know about the economy situation, but if he could push harder in early imp, like make traps right away, I think I would be in trouble, big trouble, because I didn't have skirmisher at the start.
Well, it was a really, really good one, probably the best of the series, and it was a really fun game to watch. And then finally, we go into African reed beds. he picks the Magyars here, so he doesn't go for like a fish boom civ, which is pretty common. How do you think the Mongols match up against the Magyars, and what did you do specifically with the Mongols to kind of counterplay what the Magyars can do?
I think if it's a full open map, I don't think Mongol can do well against Magyar. But it's easy to war, so I'll just play for the late game, I guess.
Okay, so playing for the late game, keeping him open, obviously.
That's
huge.
a tiny mistake from me.
Yeah, it felt like he was a little bit late to get those walls up.
Yeah.
So then you push back. Did you know that your Cav Archers, when you went in with the Cav Archers right before you got to Imp, or right before you clicked Imp, and you lost all of them in the back of your base, was that a plan from you just to get the castle up in the middle, or was that a mistake to go in? It was just kind of a plan?
That was intentional. I wanted to kill his fish. Then I was changing to skirmisher, so I don't need those CA.
Yeah.
And anyway, I have better one, Mango Die, right?
Yep. And then, of course, amazing job once you have all the stone. It's really, really simple for you to lock down the map. And once again, so patient.
I have to. I
Yeah.
have to. Like, I want to be able to sit here, you know? So I was playing really, really safe.
Is that something that you constantly, when you're playing, are you constantly reminding yourself, like, I need to be careful, I need to be careful, I need to be careful?
Yeah, that's what you do in tournament. You have to be 100% careful, but in later game, you can just improvise.
Okay, so you get that win 3-0 or 3-1 against Hearttt. You're in a good position now, 1-1. And as I said to you before, I think you might get some good Buchholz value from losing to Winchester.
Yeah, I hope so.
Are you feeling confident in your position after day 2, or are you just kind of, in the middle? Like,
I think I still need much more practice. It's better to count on myself than others for Buchholz. And I guess we'll see. I will practice more, and I hope I will get better.
All right, well done, Mr. Yo, and that was really fun to watch. Really, really good games there. We're going to move on to our next set soon, but before we do, we have a short break planned. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned.